Good evening and welcome to round number 3 of the ASR Super 2 Championship from Queensland Raceway, also known as the Paperclip, up in Ipswich in Queensland. Once again, joining me in the commentary box is Benjamin Rhodes, aka Rhodey. Rhodey, how's it going, mate?
It's good. Lewis could be back here again for, as you said, the third round of the ASR 2021 Super 2 season. And look, it's I'm going to see how things go after the racing last round at Phillip Island.
Yes, well, we'll get into the championship standings, at least the top 10 of the championship standings, a little bit later on in the broadcast in the warm-up session. But once again, the championship leader after round 2. So after round 1, the leader of the championship hadn't won a race, and again, after round 2, got a different championship leader in Darren Kemp, but he also hasn't won a race either, Rhodey. So just consistency leading the way early on in this Super 2 championship.
Yeah, it's different to what we sort of seen, and usually championship leaders are those who won the most races. But yeah, the format we're providing with the grid flipping as often as it does is really rewarding those guys that are just there or thereabouts, rather than those guys that are always at the front. Because with a flip of the grid every time we race, it really forces the quick guys to be on their toes, and we're finding out that maybe some of the quick guys aren't as good in dirty air as they are in clean air.
It's been a little bit mixed up. We've had a couple of the guys that have taken multiple victories finding themselves a little bit lower down the standings or what they'd normally find themselves. But yeah, certainly interesting. And actually, another stat as well, Kemp actually hasn't featured on the podium as of yet. He's had a couple fourth places as his best result. I think three fourth place results, and that finds himself in the lead on 534 points in front of Daniel Cox. So very, very consistent. It's going to be very, very difficult though. He's looking good at the moment in practice, Roadie, but Queensland Raceway, it's a short circuit, but very similar to a number of the other short circuits here in Australia, like Simmons Plains and Barbagallo. It's a bit of a bull ring, and from what we've been, well, the little bit that we've seen in practice and what we've gathered from the season so far, it's going to be an interesting one. Tight on tyres. There's 16 laps. Probably going to be a bit difficult for the soft tyre around here.
Yeah, like we've seen it already a couple of times this season, and we've already humoured over it with Phillip Island at least in the last round on how viable the soft tires are going to be. Um, Rumors that we've already heard is that the soft tires are going to struggle to last the full length of the race. So we might see people tempting the hards again. That said, we thought we'd see that last round, and I'm pretty sure all but Dane Liccardo, at least in the top 10, were confident we're running softs the entire way and they're just measuring their pace. So open to see if we get the same thing again, or whether we maybe get people going more towards the hards this time around.
You have seen drivers in practice both on hard and soft tyres. There's not too big of a difference between the two, but I'd say there would be a little bit more consistency early on the soft tyre before it starts to fall away. Hard tyre is always going to be a bit slower. It might last a little bit longer. It might last you the entire length of the race, but the soft tyre, maybe you may see pit stops come into play here in this one, Rody, with drivers getting to halfway mark and then just pitting and then just going balls out all race long.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. We've seen a pace difference of something like a second, just under a second a lap per tire. So whether a pit stop factors in with the softs being quicker, or whether hard is the call will depend, and also will obviously depend on how drivers feel. There are drivers out there that will stick to a soft tire because they just prefer having the confidence in the car.
Yeah, so it is going to be interesting. It has just ticked over to the qualifying session, I should say. Just synchronizing at the moment, so I haven't got any cars visible on my screen as of yet. But just moments away here from it all syncing up and getting ready for qualifying here from Queensland Raceway. Just while we're waiting for that, we do have just a few times from the practice server during the week, and of course in the last couple hours. So Dan Liccardo is fastest on a 107.999, just sneaking in there with Cheese not too far away on a 108.020. Tim Redmond, obviously a supercar driver, 108.052, and Zed Snipes, another main game driver, 108.162. Then we have Coxie in P5, Kemp 108.315. Lachlan Burke 108.329. And then a little bit of a gap to Steve Warwick there, 108.6, but a couple runners there with Turmo and Freakish also 108.6s, with Peter Thrower 108.7, Braxton Stancliffe 108.8. So very, very interesting and very, very close times here. Not really too many places you can make up too much time. So similar again to those short circuits I mentioned earlier. Not too many places to make up time. So it's all about being precise, really.
Yeah, unlike something like it's similar but different. It's a shorter track, especially in lap length, in terms of time lap length. But it is also, I just getting a bit of a reset. It is also I feel it's probably closest to the other tracks on the calendar, closest to Sandown. It's just Sandown with a real harder emphasis on that corner exit down a long straight, because almost every corner on this track exits onto a long straight, so you have to get your corner exit right. That's where you make up the most time.
Yeah, braking and traction, two most important things about Queensland Raceway, and that's what's going to make, I reckon, the strategies very, very interesting. You can try and, I guess, no stop it, Rody. Again, not sure if the soft tyre can make it or not, but if it can't, even if you are on the hard tyre, at the back end of the race, you're going to be travelling probably 2 to 3 seconds slower than a soft tyre after maybe 6 or 7 laps. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see the choices that people make with regards to tyre. We will see that, of course, in the qualifying session, where drivers drivers qualify on the compound they have to start the race on. So if you want to start the race on a hard tyre, you've got to qualify on the hard tyre, and vice versa with the soft tyre. So we'll see fairly quickly, Rody, who's maybe taking a gamble on the soft and who's going to jump on the hard tyre bandwagon here.
Yeah, so we can tell from the times in practice, a lot of guys at the list the quickest times will have been on soft. So yeah, we had I think it was Cheese at the top with a 10.80, and then Dane just behind with a 108.1 with Kempy in third. But yeah, it's going to be as we said, like taking Dane in the example. I was talking to Dane earlier, and he's been putting a lot of practice at this track. Part of the reason we're seeing times from Redmond and Snipes was Redmond was actually giving Dane some goalposts to aim for. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, Dane's also getting some prep in for the supercars round next week. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. There's going to be a split. He reckons he was doing about an 8.9 on hard tyres and an 8.1, which he did in the server, on softs. So we're going to see a split of probably 7 or 8 tenths, but it will depend on where the front runners go versus where some of the back markers go. That gap might be bigger, it might be smaller, with some of the guys at the back just gambling on the softs, and the guys at the front with a bit more to play for, not getting too risky and sticking on the hards.
I'm just laughing there because it was brought up in the briefing, I'm sure. Just the pit exit line there for Coxie. Looks like it is the practice session, so I think the server's still maybe waiting on 1 or 2 people to jump back in before it ticks over again. So just bear with us here. But the thing with Dane, though, is that he was saying that the times he said, he hasn't taken fuel out of the car yet. So it will be interesting to see, at least from the practice, the official practice of the last couple hours. We see 8.1 and 8.9 being with race fuel with the different compounds, but sometimes in a qualifying session, take the fuel out and it doesn't exactly help you. Sometimes it can make things just a little bit more awkward with the car being lighter and a little bit more slidey in certain places, Rudy.
Yeah, it comes down to how you like to drive your car. There's plenty of people, and the general evidence normally suggests that a lighter car is faster. But there's certain tracks and certain setups you can run where it actually helps to have a bit more fuel in than your normal qualifying set. And I know of drivers in series that hand out penalty points that are actively hunting penalty points because they actually feel it makes them quicker as well. So, sorry, there's no penalty points, penalty weight, a ballast weight. There's Tomo an example in one of the other series we run. The only one out there very actively hungry for the weight because he reckons it makes him quicker. So, Yeah, it won't be a blanket thing. I feel like going from race fuel, at least taking some fuel out. Maybe not going all the way to quality fuel might not help for some drivers in this instance, but at least taking out some fuel and going maybe a half race length of fuel will still get you some pace while still maintaining a bit of weight in that rear for stability if you need it.
Yeah, so certainly some cars do feel a little bit better, and we've seen also in real life roadie, especially when it's wet. Actually having that extra weight, I know Martin Bundle used to bang on it quite a bit, especially with the older style Formula 1 cars. Actually having a heavy car in wet conditions, obviously we don't have the Automobilista, but actually press the car into the ground a little bit more and would mean that you'd aquaplane less. So having less weight doesn't always translate to faster speed, but in qualifying, usually in a supercar, it does mean you do go a little bit faster, but the car doesn't generally feel the same as what it does with a little bit of fuel on board.
Yeah. So yeah, be interesting how people go. I think we are hopefully just getting into our qualifying session now.
Yeah, it has ticked over. We're just sinking. Have had a number of drivers leave their garage and it's synced. It looks like we're about to get underway. Dana's left the pits under red. That's a bit of a no-no, that one. And he's then reversed in the pit lane, where if he did that in real life, an official standing next to the lights there would probably open his door and pull him out of the car, because you cannot reverse in the pit lane. It is a big, big no-no in any kind of racing.
Just to see actually the line behind. Some people, I don't know, maybe just okay, they are jumping back to actually Dane's jumped back to the garage as well, so he has just been pulled out of that car. But yeah, a couple of guys also trying to jump at the queue or maybe trying to get some practice starts in or something. But I think we are getting most of the field now heading out.
And the first two drive, no, and everyone's just jumping straight over that line there. Now it's a solid line. It's another rule these guys should know after, racing for a little bit now. You can't cross a solid pit exit line. Not really meant to do that, but I'm surprised, Brody, again, that everyone just jumping out straight away, and they're going to find themselves in a lot of traffic here. So these guys further back here that are taking their time to leave the pits, they're going to find themselves with half a track to themselves. Everyone else is going to be, battling for sheep stations just to do a qualifying lap.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's the only one, but I did actually have a look at the everyone leaving pit lane there. Josh Watson, hashtag not last, was one of the few people who did get that pit lane perfect. But yeah, come the race, anyone trying that, especially near the pit, is going to see themselves in trouble.
Yeah, don't want to be doing that in race conditions, that's for sure. Alright, looks like Nathan Higginson's going to be the first man. He's got ahead of Brian Walsh, who was first out of the pits. He's going to be the first man to set a flying lap, so jump on board Hamburger Cam and see how he attacks this Queensland Raceway circuit. So that's the first time I've seen him not go all over the line there, as he's been told the driver's briefing at turn 1. Now we've got turn 2. You don't want to run wide here. You want to carry as much speed as you can, but not one wide on the exit here. And then the longest run on the circuit down to turn 3. Very easy to outbrake yourself, but you can carry a bit of speed here. If you do get it right. Can he get it stopped? He can't quite, and he's just missed the apex, which means he can't get on the power as easily or as early as what he'd like. It's a little bit of a swappers on because of that. And now the run to turns 4 and 5. Another one to outbrake yourself at. He's got the nose in alright for this one. And quick little kink left here. Easy to run wide on the exit. Has to have a couple of stabs at the throttle. And now the final corner. Some drivers you'll see using that tarmac from the club circuit on the left. As it looks like we've had someone join the circuit at a very inappropriate time there. But out of the final corner comes Nathan Higginson. Not going to set the world on fire, but 1:09.8 will be our first time on the board.
Yeah, I just had a look through. That was Cracker making his appearance, who we're wondering where he would be. A couple of guys that are out this round, actually. Leonard Gross also is one of the big outs. And also, I was talking to Cameron during the week, and unfortunately, he's had to step out from his seat this round. Also, Hans Brunswick is not making an appearance either.
Yes, I'm not sure where Hans is this week, but Leonard Gross, we know, is having some issues, personal issues at the moment. So he's had to actually jump out of the GT3 series. We see Termo and a number of drivers now jumping up. So Ricardo goes P16, but Termo at the top. So Peter Thronow coming to the line. He goes P4 and a 1:09.0, so not too many very fast laps out here, Rody, which may suggest could see some drivers out here on the harder tyre, but turn 1082, that would suggest that he's on the soft tyre.
That would, I'd say a couple of them possibly seeing banker laps. There is a couple of track cuts that I'm picking people up here. One that's not exactly the most obvious is the track cut on the way out of turn, I believe it's turn 3, the first of the hairpins. There is a bit of tarmac where one of the Queensland short circuit combinations turns back onto the last corner. And while you can use that tarmac, if you go too far over that line, there is a track cut out there. And I know a couple of people, Coxie was one of them, who was on track to, Kempy was on track to go pole in practice until he found that track cut. So that's going to possibly throw people out. But there is, I think most and not all people now do have a good banker lap in. And we'll probably see some people trying to trim those times down just a little bit.
Yeah, so still plenty of time in the session for these guys to improve. I expect probably 2 or 3 runs in and out of the pits for most of the drivers, but Turmo's still leading the way. Have had Coxie jump up as well as Cheese improve on his time. Freaky's doing a really good job there in P4. And we've got Liccardo there in P5. I reckon that might be on the hard tyre. So if he goes faster, I suspect he'll be on the soft, but at the moment I reckon he's on the harder tyre there, sitting there 4.5 tenths away. Lockie Burke in P6, not too far away either. Peter Thrower actually setting a purple little sector on his last lap. But let's see what he can do next time out. No one really flying at the moment. Let's jump over to Kempy. Looked like he had a solid first sector. As Coxie improves once again. Kemp to the line. He improves by half a second, 1086. And a really good job at turn 1 there, not going over the line there. So not the fastest, but again, we may see strategy play a big role in this one, as we see Peter Thrower and one of the DJR cars. I can't remember who's in the 17. I'll just bring up the...
that'll be Lock and Lock.
Yeah, Lock and Lock. So you see another person jump in the server. That's Pierre Roy, I believe.
That would... no, so that was Cracker, so he must be having connection issues.
And Dane has improved, but only slightly. And he's gone back to the pits and he's going out for another run. It'll probably be his final run. He'll do a couple laps. He's got Cheese not too far away. Can he improve in the final sector? No, he's either had a game crash or he's just gone straight back to the pits there. Number of drivers on out laps at the moment, so can't really help you with the live timing at the moment, but give it a minute or so and we'll see plenty of drivers out there trying to set some heaters. Like
one driver that does look to be on a decent lap is Taipan. He's half a second up on his personal best, a 10th off the pole time, coming into turn 4 now.
Alright, so we cut to him here. Coming up to the second split. Oh, he's ran wide there at 4. It'll cost him time. He's still up on his own time, but he's cost himself at least.
He has lost a good 4 tenths there, yeah.
Yeah, 2 or 3 tenths at least while running wide there. And he's got Matt Tessel on a lap behind him as well. And I know Daniel Cox has started a lap as well. I did see him cross the line just before. So here's another man to look out for, see if he can improve. Taipan loses more time in the final sector, so it started promising and ended with a little bit of disappointment there. So, speaking of Matt Cicelo, he found 4 tenths and knocked Taipan down a spot. So live timing, live races not being very helpful at the moment. As you see Turma run wide on his lap. Coxie to the line. Now, does he find any time? It's going to be a decent time here, and he does. To the top. Only needed about a quarter of a tenth. And he's got it. So now...
So I was just going to suggest probably at least the top 5 or 6 runners probably on soft. If we use Dane's metric of a 108.9 on hards on race fuel, we can probably knock in two maybe 3 tenths off that. So Dane's time historically could be the absolute apex of what a hard tyre is able to do in a quality run. I think the guys at the front though we're seeing at least back to probably Freaky, if not Dane, I would imagine are on softs.
really will be interesting. If Dane does improve, I should say it earlier, he'd have to be on the soft, but where he's there, it
108.3.
would suggest that he's on the
He's on a
hard
soft.
tyre, so...
Well, 108.3. He's just on a. He's on 108.3, which is 2 tenths off pole. That's got to be a soft tyre run.
So he has improved again there. Never know, it could be a hard tyre. We'll certainly find out off the start line, because that's usually where we see a big discrepancy on the hard and soft. And we've got Turmo on a flyer here, up 2 tenths on his own time, and he's almost a tenth up on Cox at the second split with a minute to go. And Cox isn't improving on
as well. So he's
bowled it wide.
No.
The umpire has his arms outstretched either side of him. He's got one more chance, does Turmo, to knock Daniel Cox off the top spot here. What can he do? Coxie is on a lap, but he's down by 2 tenths, so he's not really realistically going to pull that back with 3-lap old tyres. And we've got Dane Liccardo on a lap at the moment. Live Race is still a little bit behind here. And he does improve, but not enough to jump him onto the front row. And he's right out sideways at turn 1. Exit of turn 1. What can he do through turn 2 here? Does have Matt Cecil down the road. But it's a few seconds away, so it won't be costing him any time again. He's up on his time. He is within striking distance here. Hasn't quite got the apex at 3. A little bit squirrely on the exit as well.
Just up the road on Dane is Lachlan Burke in one of the walking tour boost entries. He was ahead of pole in the first sector, ahead of pole in the second. That was very wide there out of that corner.
He's up by 1.5 tenths on Coxie's time here to see Liccardo throw it off the road at turn 4. Burke has got it stopped for the final corner. Now the run to the line. Didn't look too bad, so he should nab pole. No, he's lost a lot of time in the final sector. 3 drivers within 1/10. The top 3 can't quite hold that time. Burke goes 3rd ahead of Liccardo though. And Peter Thrower finds 4.5 tenths and moves up to 7th. Kemp to the line. He's not going to improve. So he'll be 8th unless someone behind him improves.
I think Kemp actually ran out of fuel across the line.
So 2 purples there for Burke, but the final sector letting him down.
I think that's everyone having finished their lap.
Yeah, just having a scroll through the drivers at the moment, and it looks to be the case here. So Daniel Cox to the top. Turmo had a chance but blew it. Lockie Burke had a chance but blew it. Dane Liccardo had a chance but blew it. So it's going to make for a very, very interesting grid roadie with all those guys at the front there, all very, very close together. And I would hazard a guess that they're all on the soft tyre. So we may see those guys struggling towards the back end of the race, or we may even see a pit stop from those guys. But still, very, very interesting qualifying session.
Yeah, so yeah, that top 3 group, that group within 1/10, I'm definitely going to argue they're on softs. Looking back down the list, Dane 108.3, I reckon that's a soft time. 108.4 from Cheese, that's probably also a soft time. As for Freakish with a 108.5, Throw with a 108.5, I'd argue that's soft as well. I think Kempy might potentially be the first of the hards because he was up the top in practice. He did a 108.2 from memory. He's on a 108.6 in qualifying. So either him or possibly Matt Cecil in 9th with a 108.9. I reckon one of those two, if not both of them, are going to be our front runners on hards.
Well, Paul Matt Cecil does have a habit of tearing his tyres to shreds. He's had a number of tyre failures in the summer series as well as so far this season in the 2021 ASR Super 2 Championship. So he may go that more conservative hard tyre, or alternate, I wouldn't say conservative, but just alternate strategy using the hard tyre. If he has though, that is a fairly handy time there, 108.9 on the hard. And if that is the case, could put him in the box seat, because I still don't think that the soft tyre, unless you really, really nurse it roadie, I'm still not sure it'll make the distance, and you don't really want to lean on that rear left if you got nothing left.
And the other thing as well, much as we saw at Phillip Island, there was the temptation because there was the pack of three. It was I believe Termo, Coxie, and I think it was Lachlan Burke as the third driver in that pack. Um, and they were all they were the guys pushing hardest on the soft, but they're all resurrecting each other, and that can be dangerous because if you get too committed to racing each other, you forget you have to manage tyres, and then you find yourself 3 laps to go with no tyres left. With this top pack that have qualified within a tenth of a second, we might see that, and maybe that will have a more increased effect coming into this round, because you're only in the case of I think the gap from second to third, it was something like 3/10. So you are across the length of a race, you're in chance of getting a win if you're anywhere in that top three. And if the guy in front of you is a bit more confident in pushing, you're going to be more confident and push that bit harder. Then they push that bit harder. Before you know it, all three of you will end up with no tyres left. So if they can drive their own race and manage tyres at the front, they might still have this. But if they get sucked into the mind frame of I have to get first, have to be first for the entire race, not just be first at the end, then that's going to be their downfall.
Yeah, it's all going to be about discipline. So it's not about leading on lap 1 or on lap 10 or even on lap 15. It's all about leading at the end of lap 16, and if you've got the tyres, you'll be able to do it. If you don't have the tyres, you'll find yourself travelling slowly or spinning into the gravel trap down at turn 3. So I've got the track map up here. As you can see, very, very simple layout here. One of the simplest in the world. 6 corners, with turn 3 being the heaviest of the braking zones. But realistically, Rody, you can pass into, well, we've seen overtakes into every corner at this circuit. So is a good little race circuit, even if the facilities and the layout could be, a little bit, or has a little bit to be desired.
I wouldn't quite go the full and say polarizing, but there is definitely advocates for Queensland Raceway, and there's definitely those that are not a fan of it at all. Personally, I'm on the side of the former. I do like racing here. It does seem to produce good racing, and I personally enjoy running around here. And yeah, you can get passes on at pretty much every corner. Turn 1 requires you to know who you're racing with. It is possible there. You can get too wide through there, but you've got to be committed. And turn 2 is a very long corner to do it through, just at the speed you're doing. But especially into each of the hairpins, big, long, straight braking zones, you've got a chance to get on the brakes 5-10 minutes later than the car next to you and get a pass done that way, or potentially even on the exit of the corner with the length of these hairpins to maybe pull off an over-under to try and get your position back. So providing people on similar pace, and as long as I suppose people are confident racing around whoever they're racing with in these races, we should see hopefully should see a lot of passing. Even if it just is going to be back and forth in the same group of, say, 3 or 4 cars. But it does produce really good racing, this track, even though the layout is definitely not one you need a science degree to be able to understand.
Yeah, very simple layout, but we could see something very akin to cycling, where you have, maybe you'll see drivers taking it easy. We have a main peloton, main group, but then we have maybe the odd breakaway as people just try to buy themselves just track position for later on in the race. But it will come at a cost with their tyres being a little bit worn out, while there'll be other guys just biding their time and saving their tyres inside that peloton, so to speak. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how the back end of this race pans out. We may see a flurry of overtakes at the end of the race with drivers running out of tyres. We may see it right at the start or all throughout the race as people they just want to race hard all race long. So it's going to be very interesting. Speaking of interesting, I might as well bring up the drivers' standings while we're here. So as you can see, 2 rounds completed. Darren Kemp leads the championship in this motorsport with Daniel Cox in second. And another one, Peter Throwett, really suspected he'd find himself in 3rd place in the standings, but again, he's been very, very consistent and finds himself in a good position early on. And we have Dane Liccardo in 4th place, obviously pretty much dominated the Symmons Plains round, but a bad final race there, as well as a pretty average Phillip Island, by his standards, finds himself down in 4th place on 471. So he's still 60 points away, but I think his main competition, he does have a little bit of a pace advantage over. So should see him climb a little bit closer to the top as the season progresses. Then we have Turmo in P5. He's been fairly handy this season. Again, 1 or 2 bad races seen him drop a little bit further away than what he would like. Lockie Burke as well in 6th. Grossfield in 7th, who's not here this evening. Then we have Braxton Stancliffe in 8th place, followed by Cheese and Freakish, who are looking quite handy around here, Rody. So they should pick up some points and move their way further forward, hopefully, in the championship standings.
Yeah, so it's a very well densely packed top 10 as well, because there's only it's under 100 points splitting the difference when we are only 2 rounds in. But the way the results panning out, we see it is producing very close results in the points as well. And yeah, for any of the guys like Leonard as a good example, who isn't here, any of the drivers that haven't made it tonight well, actually, Leonard just in that top bunch of drivers who have been at the front haven't made it. He's going to fall quite a long way, and it's going to hurt him. No, there is. And there's, aside from Kempe, who's got a 30-point lead at the top at the moment, and then Coxie 20 points over Thrower, it is a very, very tight top 10. And we're still not at the point yet, especially because the way the season has panned out, where nobody at the top at the end of each round has been a winner in any of the races containing that round, or even up to that point. It's very hard for us to sit down and go, yes, this is the person we think is going to appear away with this. The first suggestion we had before the season started was someone like Hans. But Hans has a schedule that means he can't make every round. And it being the one driver from the top 10, or from the top 6 that were from last season, who didn't get the opportunity to get promoted up to supercars, he was what we thought was a sure favourite. But the way this is panning out, it's very hard at this stage to make any predictions.
Yeah, I don't think we can really make any predictions. It's going to be an up and down season. I think every driver has strengths, but every driver has flaws as well. So what we've seen so far, consistency's won out. And Rody, I think that might be, it will be the key towards whoever wants to win this championship. Is going to be, whoever just finishes top 5 or top 6 every single race will find themselves leading the championship, even if they don't even win a race. So it's going to be very, very interesting as we tick over to the race session now. I've just got to dash off for a second, but I will bring up the stuff on the screen. But going to be in for a very, very interesting few races tonight, and I can't pick a winner, Rody.
No, it's going to come down to, I have a feeling if it's soft as our strategy, I feel like it's going to be that top bunch again of the guys on soft. So that top bunch now, from our predictions at least, is 7 or 8 cars. I very much like your thinking that it's going to become like a cycling race, pelotons and little groups that just stick together and maybe battle within themselves, but very much race as a separate bunch. And unlike with fuel, where you can make a call on how long you've got, and you can work it down to the point where you can go, all right, I can go hard from this point onwards. Stock HUD does not give you an accurate tyre estimate, so you know when your tyre is safe to push to the end. So it's going to be really interesting this first race to see who's practiced full race length stints and who's taking a gamble. But if you're back, we can start going through the grid.
I am back, and Rody, run us through the grid here for race number 1, Queensland Raceway.
Alrighty, so starting on pole is Daniel Cox in the first Brajones Racing car, the Timken car this round. Second is going to be Tomo for Tickford Racing, the first of the Falcons. Third is Lachlan Burke in the Walking Toronto United Boost Commodore. Fourth is Dane Liccardo in the Big Mat Racing VF. Fifth will be Cheese in the first of the Nissan Ultimate, with Freakish just behind in the second Nissan Ultimate, the Drive Nissan Ultimate. Actually, no, sorry, I got my orders wrong there. Seventh is Pete Thrower, the first of the Red Bull cars. Interesting to see Pete being the first of the Red Bull cars, but he's putting some good pace in qualifying. Eighth is Darren Kemp in the third of the Ultimates. Good to see 3 of them in the top 10. Fourth is Matt Cecil. Ninth is Matt Cecil. Ninth is Matt Cecil in the Super Chief Auto car. And then 10th is Lachlan Lock in the first of the, I believe the first of the Penske cars.
That's correct, yeah.
11th is Steve Warwick in the Autobahn Lounge Racing Machine. 12th is Taipan in the Freightliner racing car. 13th is Justin Cecil in the second of the DJR Team Penske cars, with Van Hall in 14th in the Cool Drive car. 15th is Nathan Higginson in the GRM car, a bit further down than I think he wants to be. Maybe he's on the hards. Brian Walsh in 16th, not a bad result from him in the Rabble Club entry. 17th is Brap Techno Autosports, with Aiden in 18th in the Plus Fitness car. 19th is Gary Neville in the Raise Energy Falcon, with Josh Watson missing the start in the Raise Energy Ultima hashtag not last. Pierre Roy is 21st in the GRM Commodore. Glenn Miles 22nd from Milwaukee. Cracker in 23rd in the Monster Car, with Braxton Sancliffe off the back of the grid, I believe, as a result of last round in the second of the Red Bull Holden Racing Team Commodore.
So Gary Neville, I did see, did have a bit of front end damage in his car. So it looks like he's running the back off the start. We did have a couple of drivers there just out of position there, so they'll get us a bit of a talking to after this one. The army to try and stay in order, but looks like someone's just out of order. But now we're in. Revs are rising, lights are on. Away we go. Who gets the best jump? And it's certainly not Cox. He's got a poor one. And, well, we've got Turmo clearly into the lead. Dane into second. And then it's Coxie and Burke jerking it out. And they go through turn one. Looks like they're through there fairly cleanly.
Yeah, I think Coxie just really got off the clutch a bit too early and just spinning the wheels and just dropped like a stone off that start. He recovered pretty well. That does look like to be Higginson back there, yeah, running wide. But other apart from that, it does look to be pretty clean down the back as well. A pretty clean start generally, yeah.
And we've got a battle for the lead with Turmo and Mikado jacking out. Turmo right out sideways on the exit of turn 3. Mikado into the lead and driving off. And now Coxie having a look at the back of the Bodlow Falcon. And a lot of plough there from the front end of Mikado's car there. You can use a lot more of the right-hand side tyres. You can pretty much go berserk with your steering on with those two left-handers. The only two on the circuit. But Ricardo leads, and it's Turner, Cox, Berg, Cheese, Kemp, Freakish, Stowart, Cecil, Paul, Locke, Warwick, Typeman, Raps, Justin Cecil, Braxton Stancliffe, Ryan Walsh, Pierre Roy, Nathan Higginson, and Cracker. So just trying to get some shots to see what's going on here. Looks like it's just even out a little bit. It looks like Brap has a
couple of guys wide in the back. Yeah, Brap and Justin Cecil, I think, probably over anticipating how much grip they had. Walshy putting a pass there on Brap, actually, but running wide in the process. And Higginson is wide at turn 2 for the second time in a row.
Yeah, so it looks like these guys are driving as hard as they can here. We will see what the lap time.
Yellow popped up for a second there.
Yeah, we've got one of the Nixons going slowly there. Freakish just dropped down, and he's got Darren Kemp alongside him.
Yeah. So Braxton going to go. Is this 3 or 4 car? It's okay. 3 in the end. He tried to pass in the run, and he was advantaged by the fact a couple of cars were slow. But big recovery from Braxton. He's already up to P11 before the end of the second lap. Although Kempy looks like he's going to try and put on a fight for 11th position.
So what happened there? A bit of contact between Kemp and Freakish. As Kemp goes around tries to go around the outside of the final corner. So if he pulls that off into turn 1, it'll be a good move. But Braxton will have the inside. As we see a spinner at the back, I think one of the GRM cars. It's Roy that has gone around the Canadian. And Braxton did hold on there into turn number 1. As Freakish again looks to get by Darren Kemp. So yeah, what I was saying, there was contact between the two at turn 3. Both a little bit wide, but Freakish just a little bit deeper and into the back as Braxton has a look at Steve Warwick from a long way back. Warwick sort of gives him space, but also probably a little bit of a nudge wide there. Kemp going to try and follow him through. And a 1:08.6 on that last lap, the fastest lap of the race for Dane Liccardo. And a 1:09.1 for Turmo as we see Braxton. Oh, I don't know if there was contact there.
There was slight contact. It looked to be a bit of dueling under braking between Kemp and Warwick, and because I think possibly some contact, they both had to extend their braking zone and got into the back to Braxton as a result.
Yep. And well, there's a big bottleneck behind these guys now. Another 1:08.6 this time by for Dane Liccardo, so he's very consistent. And a 109.2 for Turmo. So he's driving fairly quickly at the moment, is Dane. And that pace territory, it does look like it's soft, but I'm still not convinced. So maybe just driving with himself just a little bit as Bratt runs wide at the exit of turn 2. Just cut a little bit further ahead as we got Ben Hall either making a move or defending himself from Lucky Lock there. So he's up 6 spots. And we've got Matt Cecil behind Peter Throw as well. So Peter Throw, a bit of a cork in the bottle here, Brody.
Yeah, actually, I'm going for Ben Hall. Pretty good run. I think this is sort of towards the higher end of where we've seen him so far this season. So I imagine obviously banking on the soft strategy, but putting in some good time as well. Pete Thrower, you say a bit of cork in the bottle, but at least down this last straight, Matt Cecil hasn't been anywhere really near him. They're just sort of running their own sort of separate race just in a line of stern rather than like we're seeing further back where they're all trying to go 3 wide into corners.
It looks like actually Steve Warwick has broken away from that pack. And there we can see the midfield runners as Braxton looking to make a move on the Nissan. Freakish. Cut a little bit further ahead as you've got Coxie making a move on Turmo for second. Deep on the brakes, can he pull it up? Indeed he can. And Lucky Burkett was probably worried there a moment because he had a hard charging cheese there in the background. We've got yellows in the middle sector. I'm not sure why.
I think we've missed it. I was trying to see what it was. No, something's happened. We've missed it though. Wasn't made. Actually, no, Taipan he's dropped 21st. So I think that'll be Taipan was off somewhere.
It's a big shame. We've got Turmo wide at the final corner. He's going to lose probably 2 spots out of this because I expect Cheese to try and follow Lockie Burke through. Another fastest lap for the Cardi. They're going to go 3 wide here. As Cheese has got a good run. But Burke having to fall in after getting it all kinds of sideways out of the final corner. He's going to try the switcheroo coming out of turn 1. He'll have the inside for 2. And, well, it's a bit awkward for both of them. They've both dropped time, but in the end, Cheese having to give it up and did well not to loop the car there. But big lead at the moment for Liccardo. But is he using too much of his tyres? I'll certainly find out later on in the race.
Yeah, Liccardo is either, if he's on softs, then
Oh, sorry! Had Ben Hall lose it coming out of turn 3 and overcorrected into the side of the DJR car there. Just cut to a replay. Yeah, just gas it up on the marbles and then yeah, just T-bone. Poor old Lockie Lock. Hasn't lost him too much time, but yeah, that rear left certainly not going to like that one from Ben Hall.
Oh, no. I was saying that if Dane's out there on softs at the moment, then he's obviously more confident on than the cars behind him. If he's out there on hards doing those sort of times, then I'm not sure. I'm not sure what sort of hope Coxie, and Tomo and Berkey have got to have a swing at the title then, or have a swing at the win. Sorry. So I hope for their sake that he's out there on softs.
Yep. Did see during that Steve Warwick a little bit of contact with the DJR car of Lock through the final corner. As just seeing in the chat there, Dane is on the soft tyre, so he's driving nicely at the moment, but the tyres, we've said it all season and it hasn't really panned out to being that bad, Rody. So maybe in race conditions it's not that bad for the drivers. Maybe the tyres will last and he's confident it'll last. So he's driving fairly hard at the moment. He's walking away from the field at the moment.
Yeah, I think we're missing all that, but things are starting to get a little messy in the midfield. There was a bit of contact, I think, with Kemp, and it might have been Ben Hall in turn 3, but everyone sort of had to check up. I think it might have been one of the German cars, possibly Higginson again on the grass on the exit of turn 3. But it's starting to get a little more willing in this mid-pack battle now.
Yeah, so we've got Ben Hall and Freakish there, duking it out for 9th place. We've got Kemp and Braxton not too far away. Also got Higginson making his way slowly forward as well. So it looks like the tyres are going to comfortably make it. So maybe we need to turn up the tyre wear. It's making it a little more interesting in future rounds. But be interesting though. They'll be quick at the moment. They will make it to the end of the race, but when they do get worn out, they're still not ideal to use. So we will see more mistakes. I'd imagine, particularly from midfield drivers, especially if they're in a battle pack. You see Kemp looking to make a move on Hall. At turn 4, a slight overlap there. Hall a bit kind to him. Kemp not so at turn 5. Again, going for the switchback. Final corner here.
In all of this, we've got Braxton Sandlin back there as well. Probably just trying to pick who to follow. He's had pace on these guys. He's just had little niggles here and there, sort of running wide and falling off track. But he's showing pretty good pace so far in the early stages of his race. If he is on top, he'll be feeling it. But he's just trying to find a way to get cleanly through this battle, I think.
Yeah, it can be the most awkward part of a supercar race. Is if you can't cleanly get a pass done, and as we've seen here, Kemp just can't command a corner and get himself ahead because he is faster than Hall, but can't quite make the pass stick. Just not confident enough under braking at the moment. Braxton's very wide. That will most likely be a track cut. Also seeing
I'd say that would be, yeah.
Lockie Burke's actually purple in the first sector on this lap as well, so he's starting to pick the pace up. I'd imagine a bit of slipstream from Turmo would have helped him. As you see, Hall wide at 4. But it can help you here at turn 5, and in this case it has.
I think what we've seen in the as well is that these guys battling are actually performing a cork in the bottle for the rest of the guys behind them. Higginson's managed to get past Braxton Sancliffe, as does Taipan in that last corner, and Dustin Cecil looks like potentially he might be having a crack at the Red Bull Racing car as well.
Car leaving the pits there, I think that's Glenn Miles.
That is, yeah.
Higginson must be a little bit more commanding into the corners. They're all a little bit deep there at turn 2. He's actually got a good exit, does Higginson. Problem is, Kemp's got the slipstream in front and used it to advantage. And now Higginson's going to have to go deep. He's going to have to watch himself. He's very deep and, well, he's got the job done there just.
I think what's happened there is... it looks like Higginson possibly locked the rears, and Kemp was just a little too close to Braxton Hall. Ben Hall. He nearly got into one of the brakes. That was nearly very, very messy.
Yeah, they've all lived to fight another day somehow. Higginson smartly just trying to climb on the curb to.
Freakish is off in the infield as well. All by himself.
Freakish was going on okay and driving away from this group. And Taipan, big dive. There'll be a bit of a switch back there. Kemp goes straight back up the inside, but Higginson, as we've seen so far, he's out there having a go, while all these other guys seem to just be half-arsing moves, and they can't quite get the job done. So Higginson showing him how it's done, even if he is, you know, locking the rear wheels up into corners. And so big slide there from Hall, another big slide here. Higginson, he will stick it up the inside. He's just got to pull it up now. If he does that, I'd expect Kemp to try and follow suit, but again, Higginson very early on the brakes, maybe a little bit of lag, a little bit of a lock-up. He does get it done. It forces Hall out onto the marbles where you don't want to be. A little bit of a nudge there from Kemp into the back of Higginson saying, I am here. And also got Taipan looking to follow through as well, so very, very angry battle pack. And there we go.
No.
I was about to say we could see an incident. And, oh, there it is. Unfortunately, Taipan just a little bit too late on the brakes, and he's doing some lawn mowing down there.
Yeah, a couple of the Kiwi guys in this mid pack very much seeming to pick up the short end of the stick in some of these battles, but no, I could see that coming. It was a lot of energy in that battle pack, and when you get that much energy at this point in the race, we're starting to get to the point where people are probably starting to really put some fight in now, though, generally, because we're coming to the last. We're on lap 12 or 16. We've got 4 laps to go. And anyone who's running those softs and is confident they make it to the end is now going to really start pushing to try and claim the best position they can.
Oh, I think Higo's left tyres are gone because he's just understeered straight off the road. He does make these little mistakes from time to time and just got on the gas a little bit too early with the amount of tyre that he had, and he was off the road. He's going to lose position to Kemp and probably to Braxton here as well. No, he's going to stick it around the outside. So he's done well to hold on there. There's Braxton right out sideways. And Justin Cecil says, I'll take that. And that's 11th place. He's up 2 spots from where he started. He goes up 5. Kempy did have decent pace in his car, but his start and being caught up in that incident with Freakage has cost him dearly, being caught up in that battle pack, because he's now, 6 seconds behind Lockie Lock.
Yeah, this battle pack in generally, yeah, that is, I think the highest we're going to see from that group now is the top of that group is 9th, because yeah, we're 6 seconds off of Lachlan Burke. He in turn is 3 seconds off the back of Matt Cecil, but knowing Matt Cecil's history with tyres, if he is running the softs, then you know, I hate to jinx him, but I think he's had a puncture every race this season, every round this season thus far. So he'd be on track to continue that record if he was going to puncture again in this race.
But, running wide there. Yeah, hopefully he's able to get through cleanly in this one. As Ben Hall gets by Taipan, and we've got Braxton and Cecil still duking it out here. So Braxton looking to get that position back after his mistake, coming out of 3, and Ben Hall lighting up the rears once again. So just skip a little bit further ahead now towards the front end of the field. Of course, Dane's still about 7 seconds in the clear, and he's about, usually on average, about 2/10 a lap faster than Daniel Cox in behind. But Cox now starting to fall into the lap of Lockie Burke, who's dispatched Turmo. So it looks like Burkey's just looked after his tyres a little bit better, and looking to sneak his way into 2nd place, while Turmo a little bit further back is also coming under threat from Cheese, who's done a good job to stick with the pack, and now looks like he's going to try and get a move done at some point, as we see Burke with a bit of an overlap out of 3. But he's going to have to go the long way at turn 4.
Yeah, Coxie will give him room here, but he is on the back foot trying to make a pass. He's going to go for an over-under here. He might just be able to pull this off. He's going to need Coxie to work with him here to make a pass, and he's got lucky there with Coxie running wide. He's going to have to run on Coxie now just on the way into the last corner, but he is on the outside, so he's going to have to go for an over-under if he wants to achieve a pass here, I reckon. And he's had a go at it, but Coxie's managed to be off that corner and hug that apex, which is blocked Burke making a pass. And I think Burke's going to have a look at turn 1, but he's going to need to be a lot further alongside to make a pass there.
A smart driver there that is ahead and has a faster driver behind that's looking to get the move or a crisscross done. He just park it on the apex of the corner, it just kills the run of the car behind, and Cox did that fairly well last time by, but he's got bigger problems now because he hasn't had a great run out of turn 2. He's had to go to the middle of the track here for turn 3, but Burke has the inside. Can he pull it up at 3? He can. Got a bit of lap traffic in the way there, but Burke now up into 2nd place, and Turmo and Cheese also starting to catch up to the back of this little battle pack as well after their little mellow.
Yeah, credit to that. Yeah, that was Josh Watson, #not last, getting out of the way of all 4 cars there. Good opportunity to do it, and this is a really good track to be lap traffic in, because the nice long straight to be plenty of opportunity to let those cars through. But great running from Josh. He is sitting back in 21st, but is not last in positional order, and yeah, he's keeping it clean. So good to see Josh out there lapping as well.
So our leader now on the final lap of the race. The tyres have lasted, so it will be soft tyres all throughout. May have to extend the races by a couple of laps going forward. But Cheese now, can he get the move done? No, he's not going to get it done into 1, and he's not going to get it done into 3 unless Turner makes a mistake after. Cheese just not getting the front turned in there at turn 1, and it's going to cost him all the way for the first half of the lap here. Turmo just starting to drive away a little bit. Dane, he's still got half a lap to go. Cox is still not quite giving up yet on 2nd place, but he's going to need a mistake, I'd imagine, from Burke. And Cheese again, he's not quite giving up on 4th, but he'll need a mistake to get that move done. But Dane Liccardo now just 1 corner away. Set it up at the start. Passed all the drives that he needed to, and he's had a easy drive to the finish line ever since. So Dane Liccardo wins race 1 from Queensland Raceway, with Lockie Burke coming home in 2nd place, Coxie home in 3rd, Turmo will just hold on to 4th with Cheese right behind. And Peter Thrower will come home a very solid 6th place there as well.
Yeah, very quiet run from him. Also from Matt Cecil dropping into P7. Good run from Matt. And then Lachlan Walk in P8. And then we cut back to the battle pack. Higginson, I believe, has actually made a move here. So it's going to be Darren Kemp in 9th and Higginson just behind in 10th. Ben Hall up to 11th. Still a good run from Ben Hall with Justin Cecil in 12th. Taipan up to 13th. Freakish in 14th. And then in all the mess at the end, I think Steve Warwick's made up to 15th with Walshy in 16th.
So, yeah, Steve Warwick had a bit of a nightmare run there. He was up fairly high up at the midpoint of the race, but got caught up in a couple of battles there. Walshy, a solid run in 16th with Neville and Brapp there in 17th and 18th. Aiden Home in 19th. Good to see him out there. And Braxton Stankley, something's happened to him at the back end of this race here.
He went just straight into the gravel trap, so I think his tyre went, because as I say, he did have to push very hard to get to where he got to, and he was racing very hard. I wouldn't be surprised if he's pushed his softs that bit too hard and has done a tyre.
Let's see if he's, no, he's gone straight back to the pit. Just going to try and see how he'd take turn 1 there, if he's going to continue on, but that's something we'll have to find out at a later time. So Braxton Stankley home in 20th. We have Josh Watson home in 21st, hashtag not last, and then Glenn Miles, the last of the finishers, in 22nd with Roy and Cracker, both of the non-finishers in this one. Alrighty. Interesting first race, obviously very, very clear winner, but behind that, a couple battle packs and still lots to be fought for there.
Oh, there was some good battles amongst the lead pack, but again with a bit of respect on where they're at. And I think now that they've seen Dane make it to the end at the pace he's doing, I think we're going to find some of the guys at the front maybe pushing a little harder on the pace. Generally, a lot of guys pushing a lot harder on the pace, and probably anyone that was on the hards converting to running on the softs. Yeah, the other that'll be a case of like we saw some good battles at the front with a bit of respect, and then the mid pack. I ended up watching that for a good, probably most part of that race, even when we weren't actually talking directly about it. And there was racing there, and it was very much, like you mentioned, somewhat like a peloton in that there was that battle pack. But I suppose unlike peloton, where there's, I suppose, a bit of an organised order to it, they were shuffling and picking to be at the front of that train every lap, and almost out of every corner there was a pass happening. Either somebody was making a pass, or somebody was botching a pass, or somebody was running wide, or was getting on the throttle too early and putting it on the grass. And then I went back and checked. Braxton Stancliffe actually, I think, locked a brake or something into turn 3 because he went well deep. He didn't quite make the fence at the first hairpin, but he went well into the sand down there, which is what put him back to 20th. But yeah, that pack of about 8 or 9 cars, and they're battling so hard in that battle pack that they weren't catching anyone in front. And not only that, they're allowing those that dropped off the back, so your Steve Warwick, your Freakish, your Braxton at points, to get back into that battle pack again, and if they have the pace, to actually get back into another squabble. So they were running their own race there for, I think, 9th or 10th. But no, that was some great racing to watch. And now the confidence there on soft, especially if the other person who's potentially at risk is Braxton, but if his tyres have lasted for him as well, then I think at this point it's a fairly safe bet for everyone to go on the softs. So it's going to turn into, not that it's not a sprint race, but it will be very much less of a strategy race and just be an all-out blast to the flag.
Yeah, so it does make for a very intriguing second and third races here. Of course, we do have jumbled up grids for the second and third race. I do it every week. I forget the exact format, even though I run the series. It's pretty embarrassing, but I'm pretty sure going by memory.
It's a top 10
reverse,
flip, I believe.
So
yeah.
I can't remember who finished 10th in that race. Was it Higo? Did he? And then it was Kemp in front of him. They were around that space.
I think it was. I think Kemp and Higo were either 9th and 10th or 10th and 11th. So it'll be one of those two that sits on the pole for the second race.
Yeah, so just having a look here. And yes, it was Nathan Higginson home in 10th place in that last race. So he'll start from pole. And old Kempy will be looking for a bit of redemption. Because because you know he's not too bad around this circuit. We'll actually get to see what his true pace is like around Queensland in race stream, because I don't think we really saw that in race 1 there, Rody. So going to be interesting. Also having a look at the championship standings as well. Kemp still leads the way, but his championship lead has been chopped down a fair amount. So 610 plays 595, so only 15 points in it now. And Dane Liccardo now finds himself in third place on 571. He's just snuck ahead of Peter Thrower. And Thrower's got to look over his shoulder because he's got, Lockie Burke on 558 and Termo on 553. Pardon me, just behind him as well. So he's got a little bit of work to do in these next 2 races. But I do believe he's starting ahead of him in race number 2 here. So he's got a good chance to at least start in front of him and hopefully set up a race where you can get some points back on it.
Yeah, so it's and yeah, the order as rounds has jumbled too much, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see as the round is progressing where some of these players will turn out. I'm gonna have to duck off for a second. I apologize, Lewis, but I will be back in a minute.
Alright, no worries. Alright, so I'm just gonna be flapping on a little bit here, but also seeing the updated points sheet that Lewis is Gay is actually leading the championship. Oh, that's a new one. But yeah, Lewis is Gay number 1 on 610 points. So there you go. Kempy, you've been beaten. But there you go. Just going to have just a little bit of a short break here. I've got to grab myself another drink. It's not a Bundy, so I won't be fighting anybody, but hopefully there'll be plenty of good battling out on the circuit. So we'll be back in probably minute and a half time, and then race number 2 won't be too far away, so don't go anywhere. Alright, welcome back to round 3 of the ASR Super 2 Championship. I've just cracked a cold one. Rody, I hope you've cracked one as well, mate, because race 2 here, I reckon it's going to be a cracker here. We've got obviously some of the faster drivers just out of position, but it isn't the easiest circuit to overtake at, though, even though you can pass at every corner, Rody. If a driver's smart enough and just nails every exit, can make it life very, very difficult for someone that's a little bit faster, as we saw with Darren Kemp stuck behind Ben Hall and a couple of the other guys in that mid portion of race number 1 there.
Yeah, as we said, yeah, it's very easy to pass, but the problem is it's very hard to hold a pass because there is plenty of opportunities here, as we saw, and as I commented, I think with the race with the Berkey with Cox at the end, plenty of chances to go over under, plenty of chances to park it on an apex, and yeah, all you need to do is if you're trying to defend, is get a better run out of the corner, and you know, if you can do that on pure basis, then you can do it. If you need to, you know, park it on an apex, which is totally legal, it's part of racing, then you can do that, and it's so it's very easy to get a pass, to achieve a pass. It's very hard to stick that pass, which is why we saw that mid pack especially go the way that it was, because people would go, oh yeah, I can have a dive here, and they have a dive and attempt to pass, and then run a little wide, and because there was another corner after it, they were then offline, and that's sort of the way that some of these the hairpins go here. They function more like 2 90-degree corners than 180-degree corners, especially that middle one. So if you bomb it into that first corner of the middle section and run wide, you're then offline for the next part. And whenever you're trying to pass, you can just dive back on your inside and pass it through there, and you're going to make the pass all over again. So you've got to be really confident and know your car and know your racing to make a pass and then make it stick around here.
Yeah, there's a couple of things you could really, you can really do at this circuit. At turn 3, when you do make a move, you can sort of just, just hold the guy you're racing at just a little bit wide for a little bit longer, so they can't quite get on the power. That's if you don't already outbrake them. But also, instead of going for the move at turn 3, you can just set it up, wait for the driver in front coming out of turn 3 to make that slight slide, and set yourself up for turn 4, where if you do get the inside at turn 4 there, Rody, you got another left-hander immediately after where you're going to have the inside. So all you got to do is pull it up, and the second corner being a little bit faster than the first, it pretty much guarantees you getting that position done and dusted straight there.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if some people take some of the stuff on board for the second race. But we've got the cars rolling off the grid. I believe it's race 2. It's your turn, Wills, to go to the grid.
Alright, so let's get through it here. And Nathan Higginson will start the reverse top 10 race from pole position, with Darren Kemp looking for a bit of redemption here in race number 2, starting alongside him on the front row. Lucky Lot starting from 3rd place with Matt Cecil alongside him. I reckon he could be in for a good shout of points in this one if he continues on his pace from race 1. Peter Thrower in race 5. Oh, sorry, position 5. And then we have Cheese in P6, followed by Termo in P7. And just wait, I'll just change the camera there. Got Daniel Cox there he'll be starting from 8th place. Lockie Burke starting in 9th. And then Dane Liccardo, a race 1 walkaway winner. He'll start from P10. This is a big test from him, racing in traffic. Been a bit of an Achilles heel for him. So hopefully he can get through the field nice and cleanly and keep it nice and clean. He'll start 10th. Ben Hall will start from 11th place, just missing out on the top 10. Justin Cecil will start 12th. And then we have Taipan in 13th. I expect him to work his way forward. And Freakish had a bit of bad luck in race 1, as well as 1 or 2 uncharacteristic mistakes. So expect him, at least on pace, to probably move up a few spots in this one if he can just avoid a little bit of the carnage and drop the mistakes. Steve Warwick, another one, expect to move forward in this one. He'll start from 15th. And Ryan Walsh, he'll start in 16th place. He'll be hoping for another nice clean run here in this one. Darren Neville will start from 17th. Rapp will be starting from 18th place, with Aiden Sykes in 19th. Braxton Stancliffe starting from 20th after that late error/puncture. Didn't find out what exactly happened there. And then we have Josh Watson, hashtag not last, 21st. Glenn Miles in 22nd. And Cracker rounding out the back of the field for race number 2.
Yeah, only person dropping out there is Pierre Roy, but it's a 23-car grid and we're about to get away.
Yes. Here we go. Lights are on. Cecil is angled. And who gets the jump? Well, the front row, both of them getting wheel spin. Looks like Kemp has got a solid start, though. will have to go the long way at turn 1. He will get it done though, so Kemp into the lead. Will they get through turn 1 and 2 cleanly? As we look from the helicopter here. And well, it looks fairly clean so far. It looks like they're all through there. Kemp in the lead though. Higginson right behind, and then it's Cecil with an angry Turbo right behind him.
Yeah, so Cecil had a great start there, and I saw him thinking of going 3 wide in turn 1 and thought better of it, which was the smart move. But Turbo, great run through the field already.
Oh, contact. It's freakish there. Got rear-ended from somebody. And so got Liccardo looking to make a move on Cheese with Cecil right in front. Bounce out late here at turn 4. He's going to run a little bit wide there. He gets the job done. And there's right behind Cecil. We'll try and cut to a replay, see what happened at the back here. So looks like that is a number of cars getting to the back of Freakish there. And then Taipei also getting caught up in that as well. It's got poor exit out of the final corner for Cecil, and Liccardo is going to have another position here.
Possibly Matt's going to put the elbows up and he's going to try and have a bit of a fight, but he is on the outside of the corner. It's hard to defend the corner from there. And he's got a decent run off. He has protection from Cheese, but just behind Cheese as well. Berkey's up the inside of Cheese into turn 2. Bit of contact between the two of them, but Berkey's through and actually lock on lock, and possibly even Coxie having a good run. Cheese, unfortunately, dropping off a little bit here, as he has, I think, Lock Long pulled out of that move into the last corner. But yeah, a couple of guys from that first race already starting to make big moves in the second race.
A big mover, Brap. He's up into 11th spot after starting his back end of the field. So he's zerged his way through the field, found himself in 11th spot. But looks like a little bit of a train starting to form up behind Matt Cecil. He's got a couple podium getters behind him in Burt and Cheese. Lucky Lock in 8th there as well. And Coxie hasn't had a good start compared to obviously the guys he's racing for podiums and in championship. So he's got a bit of work to do in this one, does Coxie, as Lucky Burke's got a good run again out of the final corner. But Cecil just able to hold on for now. But he's ran wide turn 1. Burke will have a look, but again he's going to set it up for turn 3 by the look of it.
Yeah, I'd say so. It looked like he did actually the run on Matt there. He just got sort of flustered on which way Matt was going to go, and actually ended up, I think, having to back off on the way down the front straight. But he has got a run out of that second corner, and he's putting it moving on the inside now. Looks like he's going to hold that. He's going to have the apex, which is going to keep Matt off it. In fact, might even open the door for Cheese too on the exit. Matt's probably got a slightly better run, but Cheese is there. But it looks like he's going to close the door into the hairpin just about, maybe not to the overlap. And that's all Cheese needed is invitation to put moves down the outside of the corner. And he might just hold on through here, which will put him on the inside. Actually, no, he's run wide and he might have lost that spot.
Well, there's still a chance to send it up the inside of the final corner, but Coxie got by Lucky Lock there, and he's now having a look at Cheese, and he's got the job done straight away there. So seeing a gap going for it, we'll try and cut back to see what happened here. So it looks like Liccardo just more confident coming out of turn 3 and under brakes at turn 4 and getting the job done ahead of Turmo now, and he's right behind Darren Kemp, who's lost out as well in this last half lap to Higginson, who gets it right out sideways out of turn 3, and he might find himself down a couple of spots here because losing traction out of turn 3, not a good sign, as Kemp deep on the brakes on the outside. Now it's a bit of a drag between the two and side by side. And this is exactly what Dane wants to get up right behind these two. But Higginson holds on for now. With Kemp in tow.
It's actually a bit of a catch-22 for Dane at the moment, because the way they're racing, they're taking up a lot of the track. It is a wide track, but it is only only sort of really 2 cars wide. And Higo not happy there. There was a bit of contact between him and Kemp in the mid-corner. Luckily that none of them spun. They've given Dane, oh no!
So Kemp there, I don't think Higo would be too pleased with that, because Kemp has decided to go to the inside, and then when Higginson's gone to go to the outside, he's got a car there anyway, but at the same time when he has gone, Kemp's then moved over, and then he's like, oh no, I'll go to the other side. But it's just one of those things, I think Higo just a little bit too fired up there, just needs to probably just back out of it in the end. But Yeah, he won't be happy with that. Ken won't be happy with that, but happy days for Dane Licata.
Yeah, that was very awkward, and I think it's dropped them both Higginson down to 12th, and I think Kempy's back down to 8th now. So not either than one of they didn't necessarily have the pace to be competing with Dane, but as I said, the way they were racing, they were going to keep Dane behind them. They just were getting a bit too excited too early, and yeah, unfortunately that's the end of their battle for the moment.
Yeah, so they got a bit of work to do to get themselves back towards the front end of the field now, and some fast drivers as well. But absolute gift for Licata. And now the big battle, I think, is going to be between Turmo and Lockie Burt. And if Coxie can get up to the back of those guys.
Oh, the way it's running, it looks like it's going to be Coxie and maybe even Cheese jumping on the back of this, which would be a repeat of the battle pack for the two other podium spots from the first race, with Matt Fessel jumping in behind as well. So we're seeing pretty early already with a fast lap from Cheese, of all people there actually. It's a good run from Cheese, so I expect to see him coming onto the back of this battle pack as well. It's possibly going to just be a reformer of what we saw in the first race, at least in some of the top 6, top 7 structuring. But hopefully, some of these guys have the confidence with seeing how Dane went in the first race that they can push to the full limit on softs. There were guys that were equivalent to Dane's pace on softs in practice. Whether that was because they were running no fuel and he was running fuel, we can't tell conclusively. But hopefully there is someone out there with the pace to try and take it to Dane.
The man that probably does have it, third place at the moment. Lockie Burt, quite handy behind the wheel. Just being held up, I reckon, just a little bit from Turmo here. Not much, but just a little bit. And he'll want a bit of clear track to try and at least maintain the gap between himself and Dane as he goes and sets the fastest lap of the race, 108.649. And these guys in the 9s, so these guys need to find a little bit of lap time here. So Lockie Burke hasn't had an ideal first sector. He's let Turmo get away and he's falling into the clutches of Coxie. He's got Cheese right behind him. Surprised to see those two battling so hard early. If I was those guys, I'd be just trying to catch up to Turmo and Burt first before looking to get a move on and duke it out later on in the race. But these guys, I guess, showing why Super 2 just a little bit more inexperienced and just want to get the result straight away, as opposed to thinking it might be a little bit easier if we bide our time for something.
It could be that. It could be the inverse, and it would be a bit cocky for the inverse. It could just be confidence that they know that unless they really start to knuckle down and scrabble really hard against each other, that they can race the way they want to race with each other and still get to the back of this pack. And they sort of have at this point. At this point, it's equidistant between the top. Between North, Dane, the rest of the top 5. It's about probably half a second to probably a second, I think, between each of the cars. Actually, it might be just under that in some cases. But they're all now starting to change on each other, and because they're now in this group, they're all going to start to be, when they're second with each other at least, they're going to start to pick up the slipstream, and they're all going to start to bunch up together. And then we're probably going to see them break into a 4-car battle pack, especially if outside of, obviously, we're not going to do Berkey possibly having the pace to challenge Dane, but he hasn't been able to show it so far. If he can't put a pass on to try and catch Dane. This isn't Berkey's only chance to race supercars. He'll be running next week in the main game, and that's possibly where he'll want to put a bit more, I suppose, sweat into it. So he might be content to have a 4-car battle for second place, rather than put in the full 10 tenths effort and try and catch Dane for the win.
It looks like they're just comfortable. I think they're just comfortable at the moment, racing at their own pace. We've just jumped a little bit further back in the field to see Nathan Higginson get by Ben Hall for 9th place. Also saw Braxton Stancliffe get by Brapp as well. So Braxton looking to make his way through the field after starting 20th in this one after a late drama in race number 1. So he's doing well so far. As Hugo does his best to try and recover. But Lucky Lock, a couple seconds down the road. Realistically for him, he can still get to the back of Darren Kemp if he's nice and consistent and Kemp Cecil start to battle a little bit. That's what he'll be hoping for later on in the next couple of laps. They start to battle. Speaking of, we'll cut to it. Cecil and Kemp. Kemp will be hoping just for a nice clean run after battling probably too hard early on with himself and Higginson. Both of them being a little bit too impatient and gung-ho, ultimately leading to both their demises, and both of them being probably out of position, because Kemp currently in 7th, probably got the pace to maybe even be behind Cheese and Cox here in this one. 109.9, he's having a look. Oh, and a little bit of contact between Kemp and Cecil there.
So this is exactly what Lachlan Moxley wanted to see.
Yeah, Lockie Lock will be hoping these guys continue to duke it out. As with Higo, he'll be hoping that these guys continue to use up all their tyres. Cecil there, the early turn in at turn 3. You can take that corner various ways. He just sort of wanders over just a little bit. Most drivers take the more traditional line, a later turn in, but you can take the early turn in at that corner. Turn 4 though, a little bit wide the entry with Cecil, so it's encouraging for Kemp, but that curb usage at turn 5, not ideal. Grip limited track, trying for a late move, probably trying to force a mistake from Cecil, but Cecil aware to it, and to stave off the attack for now, but certainly knows Kemp's there. It's as close as he's been so far. He's going to have a look into turn 1. He's just going to compromise himself, and well, he has, but he's also compromised Cecil just a little bit as well. Again, further encouragement for Lockie Lock behind as they both make a mistake there in turn 3, so both not quite at their optimum running speed. Kemp though has got a good bit of pace on the exit. He has got an overlap now into turn 3, and he should get the job done if he can just pull it up.
If he into the apex, he should be pretty good, and he has managed to block Maddock there, so I think he's pretty good now. We were talking earlier about Higginson trying to buy back into this. Someone else behind Higginson actually, who's actually just got past him in the last little bit, but it was doing very racy. Braxton Stancliffe up from 9th is ready as well, so he's, if not Higginson, he's going to possibly break into the back of this battle as well, at least try and catch up to Lock and Lock, and Ben Hollis managed to keep with the pair of them as well, and breaking away from Justin Cecil and Tarpan behind.
So just cut to a replay of that move, and Higginson just not comfortable on the brakes at turn 3 there. He's braking a good 10 to 15 metres at least earlier than everyone else. A bit later at the final corner this time, we're going to try and go the long way at the last corner. It can be done, and Higginson's going to try it here. Oh, he's got a bit of a hip and shoulder on the exit. He won't be too pleased with that one, as you can see a little bit of a flick of the lights there. It's getting hot and heavy here for what is ultimately 9th place. Nice little battle pack behind them with Cecil, Justin that is, and Taipan. A little bit further ahead though. We do have the Turmo train. 5.5 seconds off Nate Ricardo in the lead, but Turmo is, I think now starting to just hold up Lockie Burke and Coxie as well. So that gap has come down, and they're all within a second of each other.
Yeah, which we sort of saw starting to happen, whether it was from battling, whether it was just from the slip turn, they're all going to close up. So, with coming on to 4 laps to go as they cross the line in about 15 seconds, yeah, this is the battle for the 2 remaining podium spots here, and there is 4 people realistically with a chance of having a swing at it. Although, Cheese did drop back slightly from Coxie there in that last lap.
Still within striking distance if these guys make contact or if there's any mistakes. So we've got a few defined packs. So Ricardo clearly a step above the rest of the field at the moment. Then we've got these 4 or 5 drivers that are very, very close together. Kemp's probably out in his own pace-wise a little bit off these guys. Then we've got Cecil, Locke, Braxton Stancliffe, Higginson, Hall, Taipan, Justin Cecil, Steve Warwick, and even Rapp and Freakish all pretty close together, as well as Peter Thrower, who's had a bit of a nightmare in this one, down in 17. All those guys fairly close together on pace, as well as we see, again, looking for a move at turn 4, quite close enough, just biding his time, I think, waiting for a proper opportunity where he can slip the nose in without having to make a dive.
Yeah, Berkey is a young racer, but he has already picked up a good amount of racecraft. There is a good bit of maturity in a racing sense on those shoulders. And yeah, like as we said, you don't have to be. The only lap he's going to lead, or the only point he's going to be leading is coming out of the last corner off the finish line. And it, I feel like Berkey is the sort of racer that if he doesn't have to make a pass early, he might not make a pass early. He will be conserving tyres as well. While he's sitting here behind Turmo, Turmo might be pushing a little harder to try and keep him behind him, thinking that Burke's going to make a dive to any corner anytime soon. So he's ultimately in this case will be forcing Turmo into a bit more tyre wear that gives him that bit more advantage coming into the last lap so that he can pass and then clear Turmo before he hits the start finish line.
He's getting into that range as well. Thought this time by he was within striking distance of one of those block passes where you come in a little bit deep and you can sort of force the guy you're passing into just forcing them out wide there. Does cost you time, but he's not really racing for the win at this stage, so was within striking distance, but he's lost a little bit of time now in this middle sector. But it looks like he's a little bit better at the final corner, and as I say that, Turmo locks his brake, he's wide, he's going to lose 2, maybe 3 positions, maybe, no. Or maybe he will, he has got that slide on, and Daniel Cox will say thank you very much, and Cheese is going to try and follow suit.
Yeah, so that was the other thing about Brexit sitting there is that even if he wasn't
advertised, he's
lost
the rear.
Oh,
I don't know how he's not spun that, but well, there goes those positions.
Yeah, no, all that was putting Tomo under pressure, and Tomo is a normally pretty cool head, but you can get under his skin if you're pushing him hard enough. And I think that's what Berkey was doing as well, was just trying to just keeping in Kara's mirrors, just keeping Tomo thinking, and he's trying to make a move here possibly on Cheese, but there's not really any room. Yeah, hopefully all that late race movement hasn't done too much damage to Tomo's cars, because if it has, this is possibly the best we're going to see from Tomo, unless there's mistakes from the cars in front.
Yeah, I've already seen in the live chat that even Dane Liccardo is very marginal on tyres. He's going to be about under 10%, so that's not what you want. I was under 10% at Phillip Island on my front right, and on that last lap, I lost about 2.5 seconds in the first sector alone. So if it does get under 5%, which probably won't, but if it does, he may struggle to bring it home. He has got a large enough lead to sort of coast it home, and that's what I'd be advising Dane to do. But you never know. Guys behind him, though, haven't got that luxury. Coxie's fighting for his life for 3rd place in the final spot on the podium. Cheese doing his utmost to try and get on there. And Turmo, he's just trying to hold on.
No, it's a good battle, and yeah, coming on obviously on the last lap now, so there's limited opportunities for Cheese if he wants to make this path The easiest one is down, I suppose, down here into turn 3, but he's not close enough here. He's going to have to get a good run off of the next corner.
Coxie locking the rears. They've got a yellow out there.
Going Neville around on the inside, but he's out of the way. So that has taken away a potential passing opportunity. Not that Cheese was really going to be able to take too much advantage of it. So probably for this point, Cheese, the next opportunity he's going to have is into the last corner if he can get close enough on a run through here. He has got a big slide, so that's actually made him a little susceptible to Turmo, and Coxie might just be safe here.
Well, they're going to be battling out for the minor placings. Dane now coming out of the final corner, and he will take 2 from Queensland. Still one more race to go. Hand it to him on a platter. After contact between Kemp and Higginson. Burke home in 2nd, Coxie home in 3rd, just ahead of Cheese and Turmo. Turmo kicking himself, he just couldn't quite hold on for an extra couple laps. And then we have Darren Kemp home in 6th place, Matt Cecil home in 7th. I'm sure he'll be pleased he's gone 2 races at a tyre intensive track without blowing a tyre. Lockie Lock home in 8th place, solid points for him. Ben Hall home in 9th. Braxton rounding out the top 10. We've got Taipan on his lid. Obviously not happy there, home in 11th. Steve Warwick home in 12th. Higginson in the end coming home 13th. He'll be probably a little bit disappointed and frustrated with that mistake when he was battling there with Kemp. And then obviously another mistake we didn't see later on in the race. Justin Cecil home in 14th place. Freakish home in 15th. He'll be disappointed with the pace that he has shown in practice and early on in race 1, that it's not quite translated to results. Same with Peter Thrower, well down in this one. So I think it was an early spinner by memory in this one. Didn't pick it up on the broadcast, but I think I remember you mentioning it there. So he's down in 17th, so he'll be a bit disappointed with that one. Aiden home in 18th, Brian Walsh in 19th. Then we have Josh Watson, hashtag not last home, in 20th. Glenn Miles in 21st with Gary Neville a lap down, and Cracker again, our only retirement.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's connection issues for Crackers. We did see him drop in and out a couple of times during qualifying or something else at his end. He obviously had a lack of practice coming into this round. He did only jump in the middle of qualifying. So I don't know. It's a shame for Cracker, but yeah, good to see outside of Cracker that 22 finishes. It's not a very high attritional track, again, like Phillip Island. You do have room here unless you really bowl it off somewhere to make a mistake in all the critical points and not suffer any consequences from what we saw. Obviously, in race one with Higo running wide through turn two, and we saw with Termo running it deep at the hairpin. If that was say a street circuit, he would have hit the fence there. But no, do have plenty of room to make errors here and still finish. Like we saw a couple of guys looping it on the infield. I think Gary Neville at the end there, still make it to the end. So no, a good finish rate, and yeah, it means that there's going to be, with the way the points are structured, there's going to be a nice change in points, and actually we should be seeing the updated points soon.
Yeah, so I'm having a look at the moment, and the gap has come down from 15 points. It's now 6 points between Darren Kemp, who still leads the championship on 695, and then we've got Daniel Cox on 689, Dane Liccardo 671. So they're now quite a ways ahead of fourth place, which is Lockie Burke, if I'm reading this correctly, on 655.
Yep.
And then we have Termo at 641. So starting to get a couple groups now starting to emerge from this. Kemp doing all he can to hold on to the championship lead, but I think in this one, Rody, he's going to need to probably finish ahead of Coxie if he wants to hold on to the championship lead coming out of tonight.
Yeah, either finish ahead or finish within about a position or two of Coxie, but we've said this, especially in the second race, that Kempy's probably got the pace, and I reckon he does have the pace. He just hasn't been quite so lucky. He's had to put in some work to get there to begin with. He has recovered well, and he will be starting ahead of the guys he needs to be finishing ahead of this time. He's kind of lucky. If it was just the combination of him and Higginson racing that sort of caused that, and just both being very feisty races at times that sort of cause the issues in the start of the second race. He's got a good chance now because he should be in pretty clear track, or not clear track, but the guys around him maybe I wouldn't say similar to his driving style, but maybe not so radically different that there's any sort of clash like that. So this is probably his best opportunity, if he's got the pace, to actually show it during the race.
Yeah, it just needs to get away cleanly, really, and from there, just hope that he doesn't get run into from behind, and then probably just try to just keep it clean. I think both himself and Higginson in race 2 definitely overdriving it and battling too hard early on in that race. I know they had Dane Liccardo, who's clearly the fastest driver of this circuit in the field at the moment, behind them, but they just needed to be more patient. Battling like that only cost his cells time, and if you've got someone like that that is so much faster, sometimes it's faster just to not race them at all. It's just like, well, I'll just not make it difficult for them. If they get the move done, they get the move done. But then carry on with your race and you end up picking up a better result than if you duke it out as we saw, and then you can put yourself out of contention. I was about to say, leading up to the Biff and Barge that happened, that the way they were battling, it was something was bound to happen. Unfortunately, it did. But hopefully in this one, both Higginson and Kempy can just race a little bit smarter, put it all together, and just race a little bit for later on in the race, as opposed to I've got to get in the lead or I've got to stay in the lead, even though it's like 5.
They've both been hard one to judge because they both came from that mid pack in race 1, and basically that mid pack's almost like a wormhole or a black hole. Once you're in there, you're not really getting out of that mid pack as much as you tried. So they managed to break away right towards the end. But yeah, I think we've, from what we have seen of Kempy, he's probably got pace to be up there with Cox and Thermo and Berkey and Cheese in this race. Higginson probably more the back end of the top 10. He's not quite there, but his pace as well hasn't looked too bad. But they just haven't had a chance to apply it properly because by the time they've been applying their pace the way they'd like it, they've been well off the back of the pack, and not really been able to do anything circumstantial with it. So yeah, this is the best chance. The two of them starting separately from each other as well, and whether that caused issues there. And yeah, they're both been starting ahead of. I think Higginson. Can't remember actually. Did Higginson make it into the top 10 in that second race? I don't believe he
No,
did.
he didn't. He finished 13th in the end, and that's actually where he's going to finish. Start the final
Where
race.
he's to start, yeah.
The third race is done. I think it is. Is it reverse top 10 again?
It is. I believe it is reverse top 10 again. Yep.
Yeah, so he didn't quite make it in. So the car are going to be starting 10th, and that means just having a Bracken Stancliffe will get a nice clean run off to start. And Ben Hall will be on the front row. So good opportunity for those guys. Kemp will be starting from P5. Again, he'll be hoping just for a nice clean getaway, and he can jump those guys on the first lap, and then just hope for the best that the faster guys behind him end up being caught up in battles. But we still got a minute and a half left in the warm-up. Instead of taking a break, just quickly go over the calendar for the Super 2 season. So of course Simmons Plains, Phillip Island crossed off, and Queensland Raceway with soon to be crossed off as well as done and dusted. And of course 4th of June, Super 2 heads to Barbagallo Raceway, where we've seen some interesting racing in the past already. Expect to see more there. Same in Hidden Valley, interesting circuits. And then we've got a bit of a retro round at Calder Park. At least broadcast side will be whacking off the retro liveries from the 2018 season. In the ASR Supercars as well, it will be the designated retro round, as we don't have Sandown on the proper calendar, the championship calendar, but it is on the Enduro calendar, but it's not a retro round event. And then we have the catch-up round after the dramas that was meant to be round 1 at Adelaide. So that'll be the 20th of August, 5th of November, Boogagow Park Raceway, and then the Reed Park Street Circuit, which is Townsville for those that don't know the official name. And they'll have a revamped kit building and hopefully look a little bit better than what it did last time. Alright, well, just about to tick over to the race session. It was probably my mic that was cracking up there, Scott. I do apologise. It was in the red there. And there we go. So it's ticked over now. And just a quick reminder, Darren Kemp still leads the championship 6 points ahead of Daniel Cox. Then it's a 14-point gap between Daniel Cox and Dane Liccardo, who is hard charging in this one. And despite a DNF, Lockie Burke on 655, only 40 points off the lead now. He's done a really good job to recover after all of that. So without that DNF, he'd probably find himself very, very close to the lead, if not in it. But, alrighty. Alright, ready? My mic's a little bit stuffed up. I'm going to try and reset it here, so take us away.
Will do. Alright, it looks like we've got 22 cars for this race. I believe it would be Cracker who's pulled out, unfortunately, but we only saw 2 DNFs from Cracker tonight, so whether it was lack of preparation or maybe some hardware issues at his end, but we do have the 22 car grid, and we'll go through it now for the third race tonight. Braxton Stancliffe starting off of pole, which he's had the pace, probably one of the closest we've seen across the race length to Dane. So this is probably his best opportunity to have a cracker to win in this third race. Second will be Ben Hall in the team called. He's done well this race. He's done well tonight. Sorry, to be up the pointy end and just sort of float around without getting into too much danger. Third will be Lachlan Locke in the first of the Penske cars. Fourth is Matt Fessel for Super Chief Auto. Fifth will be Darren Kemp. Again, this is probably his best chance to have a swing at a top 5, if not maybe a podium. Sixth will be Termo. He's been doing all right so far the night. Just a bit of a scrappy race at the back end of that last race. Cheese will be starting 7th with Daniel Cox in 8th. Lockie Burke in 9th with 2 times race winner Porsche Knight Dane Liccardo starting from 10th again. And then Taipan will be starting in 11th with Steve Warwick in 12th. Good run for Steve Warwick in that second race to get back up to 12th. 13th, Nathan Higginson. He probably knows and he'd rather be a little bit higher, and this is his chance to get there. 14th for Justin Cecil. 15th for Freakish, who just hasn't been having a good night tonight. A couple of scrappy races so far by his own admission, so hopefully the third race goes a little better for him. Wrap in 16th with Peter Thrower in 17th after an early off in the second race. Hopefully he can recover well back into towards the top 10. Aiden running in 18th with Ryan Walsh starting from 19th. Josh Watson hashtag not last for the Race Energy Racing Nissan Altima in 20th. Glenn Miles starting in 21st in Walkie Racing Falcon, and with Gary Neville starting off the back in 22nd in the Race Energy Racing Ford Falcon.
Hopefully my mic's a little bit better now. If you could confirm that, that'd be great.
It does sound a little less like you're drowning, so that's a positive thing.
Maybe in a Discord thing, because you sounded the exact same too, so maybe some dramas there. But anyway, lights are on, revs are up. Cecil again angled very sharply, and we get away. Cecil just chops across the front of the DJR car there, but here we go into turn 1. Do they get through here there cleanly? Maybe.
I'm surprised. Surprised
we've got a spinner at the back. Looks like the one of the race cars got knocked over by the Milwaukee car.
Yeah, I believe Josh Watson and not both the actually cars being tied up. They're going Neville as well, but Glenn Miles was the Milwaukee car at the back there.
Oh, and they're 3 and 4 wide in the mid pack here.
Oh dear.
And this is where we see.
Oh, lock off to the outside. He's just about blown on 4 wide at one point there through the corner.
Yeah, they've all lived, I think, thankfully. But Braxton leads away. Hall second. Termo has had a good start up 3 spots. And Kemp up 1. Cecil down 1. Coxie a little bit more aggressive in this one. He's got himself ahead of his direct competition. But Dane looking to get around him at the final corner around the outside here. You've got Cheese in there duking it out as well. Going to go side by side once again. Now, probably be smarter for Coxie just to stay in the slipstream of the car in front there, but he feels that he's got to move over. And we also got Higginson looking to make a move. He's up a few spots as well. He's right behind Burke and Cheese now, so he's forcing his way up. He's looking very, very punchy at the start of this one. Ahead of Cheese, looking to get ahead of Burke. And so we've got Liccardo and Cox now duking it out. This is exactly what Termo wants in this one. So Liccardo going the long way. Coxie holds on though.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was some communication in that second race. After the second race, maybe a lot of the field at the front going, we can catch Dane if we can keep Dane back with us while he sides the green. And if nothing else, a little bit of contact there with Cox and Liccardo, which hasn't helped Cox out.
Yeah, it's forced him wide there as well, so I don't think Coxie's going to be too pleased with that, and it's unsettled him. As now Higginson looking to make a move, so he's going to lose a few spots out of that.
But Dane very wide at the last corner, that's going to hurt his chances.
Well, so Achilles' heel at Simmons Plains is going to probably walk 3 races, but he blew it in the third one, and he's made life difficult for himself here in the third once again here at Queensland Raceway. Got himself in a promising position, then just bowls wide at the final corner. He's going to try and make it stick at turn 2 on Lucky Lock. Lucky Lock, I don't think was too pleased at that one, having to open the steering. But with that slipstream though, able to stay ahead for now. It's going to have to try and hold on the long way. You did see Higginson do that in race 2, but can't quite do it. Lucky Lock here in race number 3. A little bit further ahead, we've got Higginson now starting to build a bit of a gap. Or help build a gap for Lockie Burke and Matt Cecil. And looks like contact between Taipan and Liccardo. What, 4 I think? Let's have a little bit of a replay here. Oh yeah, that's no good. Bit of
Oh
concord,
no!
and now it's like Steve Warwick. Oh, there's a number of cars around there.
Off as well. Surprised that hasn't triggered a safety car. No, he miscalculated his brakes on the way into the corner to the back of Ricardo, checked up to try and make sure he didn't have too much grip, and then and then I think ended up in the back of ended up in the front of Lockie Lock, and unfortunate there for Steve. He is a clean race. He's just a little bit late on the brake. There is what set up that whole train. In the end, it's knocked 2 cars out of the battle pack, and has actually split that battle pack up into 2 or 3 sections now.
Big dive from Dane there in the end. They're looking to still get by Taipan. Also seen Cheese crucially get ahead of Higginson, who is looking to immediately get back by, but also hold off Daniel Cox at the same time. So Coxie might need to be aggressive here and force a move on Higginson. Otherwise, he's going to find himself stuck behind him here, and he's got Dane Liccardo, who's just biffed his way past Taipan on the exit of turn 5 there. So you want to get a move on fairly quickly.
Yeah, if this battle, the Higginson, Cheese and Cox battle is going to continue to fight, it is going to make things hard for Dane to try and get past him. He obviously has now cleared Taipan, and he's going to have to try and pass this pack for the second time. He did start the race in 10th. So he's back to where he started. He has lost 4 laps off of his
I've
race
got Hall
lane.
around. He's made contact with Cecil. He's lost it at turn 2.
Bugger.
And that was a very interesting line at turn 1 there. I hope that was just lag as opposed to his proper racing line. But he's just dropped it in the middle of the corner, run into Burke, and then Cecil's had nowhere to go. So hopefully no damage to Cecil's car there. There's an innocent bystander in that one. And Matt Cecil's now has dropped behind Nathan Higginson, but he's actually ahead of Daniel Cox as well. So Coxie can't quite get his big break in this one. Still finds himself stuck behind a couple of cars. He'd probably fancy being a little bit quicker than. But at the front though, we haven't seen much of the battle, but Braxton Stancliffe now under a lot of pressure from Turmo. And Darren Kemp, who did say, or you did say, he's got quite a bit of speed in that car, and he's showing it because he's right there. If these two have a bit of a coming together, Rhodey, he could find himself in a very handy spot.
Yeah, it's interesting actually just to look at the gaps at the moment, and crucially where Dane is. Dane is 7 seconds off of this lead battle right now. He had a 7-second lead at the end of the last race. So if Dane is going to win this race, he's going to really have to earn it. If we take Dane out of the equation, you know, Braxton, he's had the pace, he hasn't had quite a chance to show it. Termo has been at the front the whole race, but hasn't quite obviously had that race winning pace. And obviously, as I was saying earlier, Kempy, I at least felt like he's had the pace to be up there, and he hasn't had to show it till now. But this is, aside from Termo, this is a podium we haven't seen yet tonight, or a podium award we haven't seen yet tonight. So Termo is going to get a chance for a win here because Braxton is quick, but he is not notably quicker than Termo, or at least not at this stage of the race. So Termo can probably afford to buy his time a little bit without getting too complacent. And he is going to be keeping his Bottle Ford Falcon right in the mirrors of that Red Bull Holden. But Kempy is still there as well. And yeah, if these two get into a bit of a scrap or they just take too long trying to punch each other and slow each other down, Kempy is there as well. And these guys, crucially, have also then got almost a 5-second gap back to Lockie Burke in 4th.
Another thing to take note of, Lockie Burke's last 2 laps haven't been all that flash. He's actually lost time to Cheese. Cheese right behind him now. He's the fastest man on circuit, I think, last time around. Higginson's still ahead of Cox, but Cox has got ahead of Cecil. And Cecil's also lost out to Dane Liccardo in the last lap as well. So some moving up and down the field. But back to the front though, nothing between our 2 leaders, and Kemp keeping a watchful eye. Turmo going to try the outside at the final corner. Again, we have seen it before, but might be a bridge too far on this occasion. It still has a little bit of an overlap though, so it's going to be a drag into turn 1. Braxton will hold the advantage of being on the inside, but Turmo pulls across the front, and Turmo now into the lead. And, well, who knows how this race is going to play out, because I'd expect Braxton to try and attack him straight away. And if he does, Kemp could be in the box seat.
Yeah, Braxton's Braxton's had pace, and I think at the moment his priority is trying to defend from Kemp. That's that he is also looking at making a move, and
Oh, big
you can't
dive
do
from
both.
Kemp. Is riding on board and then cut to the TV shot that didn't really show what was going on there, but very good move, I think, from Kemp. Just cut to replay. So Braxton just having a look. Kemp's going, no, I'm going to just send it here. And yeet, he pulled it up, got it done. Braxton saw him coming, but couldn't do anything about it. Great move, Darren Kemp. And in the blink of an eye, Braxton goes from first to third.
And that's what I was saying earlier, is you can't defend and both attack at any point into a corner. You have to pick one or the other. If Braxton had chose to defend, he would have probably been able to do something to hold Kemp off, but no, brilliant send from Kempy.
Oh, we've got a battle pack here. We've got a battle pack here behind Higginson and Cox. We've got Liccardo in there as well. Liccardo's forced his way in front of Cox in that one. I did see that Cox was ahead of Higginson at some point as well towards the end of that lap, but these guys very, very close together. And, well, it's probably ruining Dane's race a little bit. He needs to clean to get away. It's also ruining Coxie's race. Again, he can't get a clean move done ahead of guys that he's faster than. We've got yellows out down here, so Cox has had to back out of it. Who is off the circuit? It's Lockie Burke. So that's well, that's a gift, absolute gift for Higginson and for Liccardo there. But what happened to Lockie Burke? Let's have a look here on the replay. He's locked the rears. He come in too deep, and then he's locked the rears and snapped around on him, probably on a downshift as the compression locked up. So disaster for Burke. He's now well behind Cheese. He's out of contention for the race win. We've also had Darren Kemp into the lead here. So all that's gone on. We've all missed it. So I'll cut again to a replay. But Stride. So he's got a decent run out of turn 2. But again, he's in that range where you can do the block pass at turn 3. Deep on the brakes. And he's had the inside, commanded the inside. Not a decent exit. Turmo's still alongside him here, and he's later on the brakes and just gets the job done here. So here we go. Braxton's still there as well, Rody. So battle's still on for the lead. Cheese 4 seconds away. He'll be hoping they can duke it out for the rest of the race and buy himself a ticket for possible race win, but a definite podium.
Yeah, the way this battle pack is running, it's not quite spicy fast energy, but obviously Braxton now trying to put his nose up the inside somewhere on Turmo. That's going to slow the pair of them down. Kempy's best opportunity is for the two behind him to start battling, and obviously Cheese as well has a chance to range in on the battle for second and possibly have another swing at a podium like he's had in the last 2 races.
So there you go. There's the front 3, and there's Cheese. 109.3 for our race leader. Just cut to Cheese. What does he do? 109.1. So a couple of tenths faster. 4.2 seconds between himself and the lead. But only 3 seconds away from Braxton Stancliffe in the final podium position. A little bit further back, Dane Liccardo has caught Lachlan Burke. And a little bit further back, Higginson's still ahead of Daniel Cox. He can't get a move done. I think he might just need to just force a move here. He's been patient all night long. It might be time to just have a go and just try and get something done here, because he's losing a lot of time. And here we go, up the inside. He just needs to pull it up.
And then just park it on the apex. There you go.
And there you go. Now he's probably got to defend the inside here. Don't give Higginson any kind of space, but he's given him the inside, and Higginson's just going to go straight up the inside of him. And because Higginson outbroke himself, and because Coxie was too close to him, he's got nowhere to go. I had a similar thing happen to me a couple seasons ago, and well, that's disaster for Cox, and that's what you get for not defending your inside. It's just, I'm getting fired up here because that's frustrating to watch, and he's done it again. This is a guy that's shown he's going to send it at every corner, and sometimes he's got to defend it. He's gone.
There goes Higo. Yeah, okay. I was going to say it's going to happen because Higo has recently picked up a habit of overdriving the car, and it's hit him, and it's finally bit. But Coxie, I love Coxie, but yeah, it needed to be a bit more. You need to get the elbows out a little earlier there and a little more firmly, because he's a really polite, nice guy to race around, but that goes both ways. And if you're an easy target on the track, people are going to send it. So it's unfortunate at the end of that way. He is still in range of the other cars around him that he can battle. No, he hasn't done anything innately wrong there. I've just seen Pete Crossman off the inside as well,
Yeah.
ahead of Coxey. So that's another spot back free for Coxey. But yeah, he hasn't done anything wrong there, but he just hasn't done enough of the right stuff to really put him in the best position at this point of the race.
Yeah. He's done the patience, like, it's all good being patient. It's what we like to see. We don't like seeing people just standing up the inside every opportunity, and, you know, we've seen drivers in this series, you know, get penalised for just being, you know, impatient. I'm sure we'll probably see some of the stuff we've seen in the early races, but in this case, all he needed to do is just defend the inside, because as we saw with Higginson half a lap later, he threw it off the road, he overdrives it a little bit too much. He just needed to get ahead, stay ahead for half a lap, and then he could get on with the rest of his race. But instead, he's now made life very difficult for himself. And, well, it's a gift for Kemp, who's now duking out with Turmo. Lap 13 of 16. Braxton Stankoff's dropped off the back just a little bit, but with the way these guys are going, he could find himself on the back of it. And Cheese will be hoping that they continue to duke it out as well, because that gap now, for the first time, under 4 seconds between himself and the lead.
Yeah, I think Braxton is starting to close on the back of him, because Tomo's trying to go on the outside here. It's going to slow Tomo down, if not Kempy down. Kempy maybe just starting to struggle on the further strength of the tyres. He hasn't had a chance to run at the front at all tonight, so he hasn't had a chance to experience tyre wear at full pace. Tomo also been near the front, and Braxton, with some of his big drives in that first race, he's experienced tyre wear at probably the top of what he's going to experience at his own pace. But yeah, I'd say Kempy maybe a little struggling a little bit, because he hasn't had to push for an entire race so far tonight. So yeah, it's still anything to play for. Nothing's locked down at this point, and yeah, the way they're going, they're really starting to drag Cheese into this as well. He's a bit far back, but Dane is only a second off the back of Cheese as well.
Well, 3.2 seconds now between first and fourth. Dane's only 4.4 away, and as we've seen, Darren in this season and in previous seasons, one of the most difficult drivers to pass on a racetrack. There's a number of drivers that could put their hand up for the secure the Nether Award for being the most difficult man ASR MSLs to pass, and Kempy's one of them. Tomo going to try the long way. We've seen it a couple times, and he might do it here. The problem is, though, is that now Kemp will have the slipstream later on, and we've seen how supreme he is under brakes at turn 3. So that's something Tomo is going to have to look out for. He has to nail turn 2. Has to nail the exit. He's got a little bit of a run, but he's ploughed just a little bit on the exit. Kemp, we did see him send it from about this range early on in the race. Is he going to try it again? He shows the nose, and he is going to try it now on older tyres. Does he pull it up? He does. And, well, Cheese is right there. Cheese is only 2.2 away. Liccardo's made a mistake on the last lap because he's dropped away. Turmo got the inside for turn 4 now. But, well, all to play for these guys. Lap and a half to go now. Braxton wide in the background. And Cheese having a look at turn 5. He needs to get by Braxton because he's clearly faster at this stage of the race. He wants to buy himself a ticket. Turmo again going to try the outside. A little bit of contact at the turn-in phase. He's on the marbles this time though. And Kemp will hold on, but Turmo will have the slipstream for the back straight. 109.9 for these guys. I think they're just a little...
10.4 for Braxton, 197 for Cheese. So Cheese is definitely quicker. He's just struggling to make a pass, and he's running out of opportunity here. All he's going to do is pass Braxton for the podium, but he's in sight of the race win. And he's running out of opportunities. I think at this point he probably is a bit far back to have a challenge for the win, but he needs to get a pass done on Braxton soon.
Yeah, I think he's too far back now. He needs a couple mistakes from the guys in front. Kemp, ultra defensive. He needs to be. Turmo going to try the outside. He'll have the inside, of course, but he's very, very wide. Is he? No, he hasn't got the overlap. So Kemp now to the middle of the road. He's going to go defensive and going to try and hold Turmo off. Turmo trying the outside. He's lost the rear. He's gone. He is gone. He is going to lose 2 spots. Cheese has crucially got himself up into second place past Braxton as well. But Darren Kemp, he's got 1 corner to go. And he will take a well-earned victory if he can do it, but he's always compression locked a little bit. His heart was in his mouth. A big dive from Liccardo on Turmo in the end as well there. That could be crucial in the championship later on in the season. But Darren Kemp takes his first win. Cheese is second. Braxton home in third, just ahead of Liccardo. Turmo with that late mistake home in 5th place. With Lockie Burke home in 6th. Taipan fighting night from him, and probably a solid drive. We didn't see the back half of that race, but fantastic effort from Taipan in the back half of that race to get himself into 7th place ahead of Matt Cecil and Daniel Cox there. Coxie trying to recover after his off. Then the 2 DJR Team Penske cars in 10th and 11th, Justin Cecil and Lachlan Locke. Freakish home in 12th place. Peter Thrower home in 13th. He seems to start well, and he just never... The races don't seem to go well for him, unfortunately, a lot of the time. Brap home in 14th. Walsh home in 15th. With Steve Warwick 16th. Josh Watson, well-earned 17th spot. And, well, hashtag not last. He's ahead of a number of runners this time. It's not just one. He's ahead of a few there. So, great work from Mr. Watson. Aiden home in 18th. Gary Neville home in 19th. Ben Hall struggling to get home in 20th, with Nathan Higginson and Glenn Miles both out of this race. And, well, will Ben Hall cross the finish line here?
I believe he
hasn't yet. He hasn't
Oh, no,
yet.
he hasn't yet, actually, no.
And
now
there,
he has.
There we go, he has now. And it looks like he's got the AI thing turned on, so when he crosses the line, the AI turns on. But, well, Rody, that was I'd say that's the race of the season so far. Yeah. With battle for the lead on the final lap. You can't ask for too much more, but you also had championship implications, defensive driving prowess, and desperation. And multiple battle packs that unfortunately we've missed in the back half of that race. I do apologise, but yeah, what a finish to race 3.
I'd say it's hard to get everyone someone a race in a race, but I think a good majority of the field had someone a race at some point there. And look, that was a roller coaster from where we're seeing. Obviously, we were a roller coaster for the drivers across it as well. It's the first time that I felt that I felt truly impassioned the way that I was, and the way that we were around some of the mistakes or some of the missteps Coxie made in that race. But then, yeah, to get a battle right down to basically the line, and for Tomo to have it there, and I think there was actually some slight wheel-to-wheel contact with Kempy in the braking zone that sort of started to rotate Tomo's car. He'll be a little unhappy with that one, I would expect. But no, Kempy a win, which he really needs, and for Coxie to finish in 9th, that gives him a good jump. Braxton as well, you know, he wants to have a swing at. I think he'd like to be up the pointy end this season. But you know, it's been a fairly clean weekend for him, and obviously that last race being right up there, that result has validated his pace for him this weekend. Cheese as well do running in up there as well. Like we saw Cheese sort of dancing there or thereabout, but not obviously with the numbers that were there at the pace not quite being there. But again, you know, that third race kind of started to fall his way, and he locked out well on that one. Dan recovering to 4th, which is probably about as good as we're going to see. A couple of mistakes right at the end sort of called his chances at a podium run. But no, it's hard. Like there's some little, again, maybe some little niggles on track. Maybe guys are getting a little too racy. But overall, that was, yeah, definitely I think the best race we've had so far this season.
Yeah, I think up and down the field, we saw some really, really good racing all throughout the race. There was still the question of, the tyres could last, but you still wanted a little bit of meat on those tyres, and to make it work. See Turmo just trying a little bit too hard into turn 4, and he didn't have enough tyre left to pull it up, and unfortunately for him, ended up off the road, costing him a podium position. But you say it was important for Kemp. It certainly was, because in the championship, it has been updated. He now finds himself 30 points clear again. So it was 6 points. It's now back out to 30. 795 plays 765 with Coxie still in second, but now he's got to look over his shoulder a bit. Dane Liccardo at 762 right there. And Lockie Burke on 740 with Turmo 729, Cheese 723. They're the only drivers, the top six, on 700 or more points, with Peter Thrower on 681. So quite a big gap between Cheese and Peter Thrower in that one. So top six, top seven, top six, they're starting to define themselves as being the championship runners. The guys behind that, they're going to have to, put in some mega drives for the rest of the season. Pardon me, to call themselves back into championship contention. But yeah, we had a bit of everything in that race, and hopefully it's a sign of things to come. We see a little bit more of that. It's certainly what we hope for when we put these reverse top 10 grid races together, and it worked out perfectly there.
Exactly. It's a gamble you make, is that reversing the grid into the next race will almost undoubtedly improve the racing, but you run the risk of it getting a little messy. We do see a bit of both, but yeah, we did luck out with that one. It did produce some very close racing, as guys a bit further back had to try and battle up to where their pace was to put them, and the guys that were there or thereabouts that couldn't quite string it together had their golden chance to go for a win. And obviously with Braxton and Kempy, and then obviously Cheese as well, although he was still there or thereabouts the whole night. Starting at or near the front in that third race due to the reverse top 10 is what gave them the chance to be where they were at the end of the race.
And they made it stick. We did see pretty well faultless drive from Dane in race 2 in that circumstance, where he had to come through the field. But again, like Simmons Plains, where he walked away the first 2 races, race 3 wasn't quite as clean, couldn't quite pick his way through the field as well as he could in race 2. And we saw Turmo capitalise on that for the most part for 15.9 laps, and then got overtaken at the end. But we saw definitely Kempy, the championship leader. He probably won't lead the championship after the next round now, though, Rody, because he's on the podium. He's won a race now. That's the first time he's been there all season. So round 4, we'll probably see another championship leader now.
Yeah, and that's just the luck of how this has all turned out. But speaking of our winners, we have got, I think, all of them in the broadcast booth. So we'll change it up. And Lewis, you can start us off.
Oh, geez, I don't know where to start here, but just one moment here. All right, so again, where are we? I've got so many stuff open. All right, so number of drivers on the podium here. Might as well jump to our race 3 winner, Darren Kemp. All right, Kempy, it was an interesting night for you, but you battled hard early on in race 2. It didn't quite come off, but race 3,
was a bit up and down. First of all, I just want to thank ASR for putting on these events, all the effort that goes behind the scenes to make it happen. All the officials, they're doing a great job. Also, I want to thank my sponsors, Castrol and Nissan Motorsport, for actually letting an old fart have the seat when they could have given it to a young guy. Man, I'm over the moon to get my first win. It was, fantastic. I'd swear, but I'm not allowed to, so I'll just go beep, 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 beep.
It's all right, mate. It's okay.
So now, go back to your question, because I left it behind. It's in my rear vision mirror.
Well, just to sort of touch on what you said, I mean, you've already done better than what Rick Kelly did for, half a decade in that car. So they've clearly made the right decision to put you in the car instead of Rick.
Sweet.
But obviously race 2 was up and down. But race 3, it all sort of fell into place. You're able to, stay nice and clean for the first few laps. And then I
was actually just saving my tyres there to start with. And, then I just started picking them off one at a time going into the hairpin. So that was quite good. Good battles.
Yeah, you seem to be quite supreme under braking there at turn 3, but then you got yourself into the lead, and then it was all hands on deck trying to, hold on to the win in the end there.
Yeah, that last lap with Turmo, he went a bit wide there and he found himself off the podium. That was a bit of a shame for him because we were racing pretty hard. So, yeah.
Shame for Turmo, but you've extended your championship lead, and amazingly, this is the first time you've been here in the broadcast booth after a race night. So your first podium happens to be a win, so pretty handy. Talk us through your season so far. That you've maybe not had the outright speed compared to everyone else, but you're always there consistency-wise.
Yeah, my consistency's there. It's just my qualifying. I'm not good at getting the pace in the car and the quali. So I find myself mid-pack, which is actually good because it lets you race other people when they're not hitting you off. But, it's good to give them racing room and, it just helps with the racecraft. So that actually helped out tonight a lot, actually. So good to be mid-pack for a while, but it's even better when you're up the top.
It certainly is, and I'm sure you want to be up the front a lot more come the rest of the season. But well done on your first win of the season and leading the championship.
Beautiful. I'll go do a shoey now.
No worries. Make sure you film it. All right, Rody, over to you and to your interviewee.
Rody, talking about consistency, I'm going to have a chat to, I think, Cheese next. Cheese, a great showing tonight. You've been there or thereabouts, but it took you 3 swings to get onto the podium. But look, how did those first couple of races go for you?
Oh, mate, those first couple of races were stressful. I was sort of having PTSD from being sent off the track in my last few races, and I was trying to be quite cautious, and it led to me being overtaken. But I ended up pushing through and getting right up the front there, and I had a few options to make some overtakes, but I just couldn't get it done. So I was a little bit gutted with the first couple of races, but still happy with where I was.
Yeah. And then, you kind of lucked out there in that third race, and found yourself in the run there. Obviously, you still had to drive pretty hard to catch the podium battle. And then you also had, I think it was Berkey and Dane both ranging behind you at various points in that race. Did that keep the blood pressure up as well?
Yeah, same sort of thing. I started off a little bit too cautious and I got swamped at the start. I lost quite a few places. And then I think it was Cecil overtook me and I went, nah, I'm sick of this. I put my foot down and I took him back on that corner and then I just started pushing. Slowly made my way back to the front group and I saw them getting closer and closer every lap. And then just so happened to be that there was a bit of chaos right there, final few turns, and I managed to get the good line for it and came out with a podium, which was just amazing. Couldn't be happier.
No, that's awesome, and given your run, we mentioned earlier the point, it's dropped you right into the tail of this lead 6 or 7 now, starting to form. So, are you coming into this? Are you sort of coming to this season with having a swing at the championship, or are you just here to just do your best and have some fun?
Well, I sort of picked up this whole series as a bit of fun, and a couple of weeks ago I said I'm actually having too much fun now, so I decided to go out and buy myself a half-decent kit, and then got myself some coaching from the great infamous Tim Redmond and NZ Snipes, and I've been working on my driving for the last couple of weeks, and it's obviously showed because I've gone from being a bottom mid-pack driver to being able to contend with the top group. So I think a couple more races under my belt, I might hopefully be here a few more times.
Awesome. Good to see another student of the Kiwi Sim Sports Driver Development Group having a good showing. Great to see you getting to the podium in that third race, Cheese, and great racing tonight, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and I'm super stoked. So thank you guys for putting this on. This is awesome.
No dramas. Lewis, you got someone else lined up?
Not really, but I'll have a swing. So that was Cheese. We'll go to Daniel Cox here. Up and very interesting night, Coxie. You had solid pace, but you found yourself stuck behind people in every single race, and you couldn't quite get by them. So I guess you could talk us through each and every one of them because.
All right, sit down, grab some popcorn. All right. No, first race was a good race. I was happy to let Dane go because I wanted to manage my tyres, and I thought he'd cook it, but no, he'd been practicing apparently since Phillip Island, and it showed because he just took off, and I went, all right, I'm happy with second. And then I think Berkey started to catch me, and he got me. I went, all right, I'm just gonna let him go. I'm happy with the podium. First race, I want to spin. Second race, I wanted to try and manage my tyres a bit better, but Cheese was just relentless behind me. And I was just like, I think I burned him more just to try and keep him behind me. And I was going to be happy with fourth because I think Berkey and Termo were sort of they started battling. I think Termo locked up late in the race and got a podium. And cool, I'm trying to break my curse of 2 good races, 1 bad race. And my goal was just not to spin in the 3rd race, basically, because every 33% of my track races I spin. And tell you what, people wanted me to spin in that race. I can tell you that. I did had Higo putting like a little drift session in front of me, which was scary. But I didn't. Yeah, we had a little bump coming into one of the left-handers, and I finally got past him. But I collected so much dirt on my tire getting back on the track. I locked up in the next corner. He got me straight back. And then I just had people were sort of just people in the back in the mid pack were just fighting for their lives and like getting championships, and they were sort of they were doing opposite of slow in fast out. They were doing fast in and pray to stay on the track. So I'm glad I didn't hit anyone off, but it was scary. But yeah, I'm happy that I didn't spin basically. So congratulations to Kemp though. That's awesome. And especially Cheese. Like Cheese obviously has been the New Zealand camp have been working on, especially helping Dane as well. They've done well at Queensland. They've done well.
Yeah, they certainly have. Obviously, your 3rd race didn't quite go to plan, but you still find yourself in the championship hunt. Obviously, 3rd race didn't help, but you still picked up points, vital points in all 3 races. So, you've had a good solid start to the season, and best of luck going forward to Barbagallo next round.
Thank you. Thanks again.
All right, Rody, over to you.
Alrighty. Since we mentioned him just then, I'll have a chat to Dane. You've had a lot of prep for this round, Dane. I believe you started practicing with this not long after Adelaide.
it just started getting a lot slipperier through the progression of laps and stuff, which unfortunately just, yeah, I couldn't focus on my driving lines and what was going on around me, and I was more focusing on keeping the car on the track and losing time. But unfortunately, I did end up throwing the car off in race 1 at turn 2 on one of the last laps as well, which dropped me down to 20th when I'd driven from 24th to 19th or 9th or something, unfortunately. And then, yeah, I drove to the back of the 10, or just inside the 10 in the second race, and I just had to knuckle down and drive home.
Yeah, like we're calling it across the race so that you had the pace to have a swing, and you really needed that third race, and especially that reverse grid to really put you in position. Although it still wasn't easy for you. Obviously, you came home. Where was it? You ended up coming home third in the end. But even when you're at the front, Termo and Kempy were definitely making you earn it.
Yeah, no, they're very good drivers. Gets a little bit nerve-wracking when you're all starting to lose grip on the tyres and you're all starting to slide out and stuff, but no, it's good fun. I've been racing against Kimby for a fair while now, since before I got my own sim, so that's good battles we've had for going on for a while. But yeah, it's just interesting. You gotta driving from the end of the pack. If you get stuck behind someone, you've got a few laps before you can get by them. You've got to adjust to their driving style, and then you've got to get through the rest of the pack, and it does get kind of annoying. But yeah, you've just got to work for it and just concentrate on who's in front of you and try and get them behind you eventually.
Yeah, no, it's good to see you back on the pace that you had at round 1. Obviously, Philippine didn't quite go your way,
Yeah,
but
no, we
you
don't
have
talk
managed.
about Philippine.
Yeah, but you have managed to bring yourself back into the top 10 of the championship, and I'm guessing that that's sort of your longer term thinking. You'd like to be at the top towards the point end of the season.
Yeah, hopefully I can drive like Simmons Plains and ideally like race 3 here for the rest of the season. But yeah, it's just gonna all come down to mindset and whether I work hard enough for it.
Absolutely, mate. No, good to see you back at the pointy end, and great to see all that hard effort tonight validated with a podium finish in that last race.
Yeah, cheers, boys.
Alrighty, and I think we've got one person left, Lewis, and I'll hand you over to you to have a chat to Lockie Burke.
Yeah, so there's actually two because I actually accidentally knocked the mute button, so I'll have to go back to Dane, even though I didn't really sound too happy despite winning 2 races. But Lockie, again, interesting night for you. You were involved in battles in all 3 races, but you didn't quite have that extra couple tenths that Dane did. Just talk us through your first 2 races, and then of course the sort of chaotic there, race 3.
Sorry, my headset died halfway through that. What did you say?
Well, it's mainly, you'd had a very eventful evening. You caught up in battles in all the 3 races, podium battles in races 2 and 3, and then you had to sort of pick your way forward there in race number 3. Couldn't quite, from memory, couldn't quite get the job done there in race 3, but certainly 3 interesting races. Just talk us through the battles that you had, particularly with Termo for quite a lot of, and Coxie for quite a lot of the night.
Yeah, race 1, I went into it not knowing what pace I had because I hadn't done much practice, and I managed to put it on 3rd, so I'm like, alright, and I was behind Coxie. I got a pretty good start, but just got stuck behind Coxie from when Dan got up beside me, and so I think I slotted in behind Dane, and just kept driving, and then I think Coxie got in front of me, and then we started battling, and then I think with like a couple of corners left, I got in front of him on the first race, which put me into the podium, which was cool. Race 2 was pretty much the same deal. We came from 10th back, and then it was me, Coxie, Cheese, and Dane and Termo again, all up the front battling each other, which was really fun. And it was nice, fair racing, which was really fun. And then in race 3, I just got stuck in traffic, and by the time I'd made my way around traffic, I just ran out of laps and made a few mistakes on my way through.
Well, you did that. Solid start to your championship campaign, but you got a bit of work to do. So, 22 points behind Dane, 23 behind Daniel Cox in second place in the standings, and then 55 points away from Darren Kemp. Do you feel you need to prepare just a little bit better into the next few rounds, or are you focusing more so on other series like the Supercar, ASR, Supercars main series and ASC and stuff like that?
No, I'm putting probably focusing more on ASR than ASC. Knowing that I've got potential in ASR, I'm really gonna start putting my time to it to try and close the gap between them, because guys up at the front, they aren't slow, and we're all pretty evenly matched, so it makes for some good hard racing.
Certainly does, and it did tonight. Right, Berkey, well done tonight, and best of luck going into Barbagallo Raceway.
Thank you.
Alright, so did miss out with the good old me mucking up and knocking the mute button on the keyboard. So go back to Dane. Now, you sounded like it wasn't heard by the people because it was muted. You sounded like the saddest person that's ever won 2 races out of 3 in a race night. But
Yeah.
why do you sound so dejected? You still picked up 2 wins. You've clawed your way back into championship contention. Okay, race 3 didn't go quite to plan, but you still picked up, I think, a top 5 or 6 in the end there. So I don't know why you're so down, but why don't you talk us through it from your perspective?
Because I just can't sit, no matter what, if I have pace or anything, I just can't seem to get the 3 from 3. I just keep seem to bowling it. And when you've done it twice, it's like, well, why?
Well, it's only twice. They're only 3 rounds into the season of a 10-round season, so there's still plenty of time going forward. You see, races 1 and 2 were fairly straightforward once you got away well on the first lap, but race 3 wasn't quite as straightforward. You had to fight your way through the field. Just talk us through it. Obviously, I've heard it already, but just for those that are listening on the live stream, just talk us through your last race and how you fought your way through the field and your mindset going through the race.
Yeah, I got the launch off the line, but there were cars there, so I couldn't really go anywhere with it. It got a bit biff and barge through the first and second corner, but I had to go into turn 3. You know, I think I had the warmer brakes than everyone because I was managed to brake a lot later and pull it up. But yeah, no, it was interesting. You know, I heard some talking in the background, and for some reason I was more focused on that going into the last corner rather than my braking marker. So I threw it off the road, and yeah, I think my rejoin was interesting, so we'll see what comes out of that. But yeah, no, it's interesting fighting through the field after building a gap and trying to catch the leaders. But still happy with catching them at all because I didn't think I was going to. But yeah, it was an interesting night.
Well, still a largely successful one. You're able to pick your way through. You didn't cause too many or any incidents that we picked up. And again, you were able to get yourself closer to the lead of the championship, and you're right behind Daniel Cox for second. So it's still a successful night, even if you don't think so yourself, with 2 firsts and a 4th. And best of luck going into Barbagallo.
Yeah, never actually raced a Barbagallo in a supercar, so this is going to be incredibly interesting.
All right, well done tonight, and again, best of luck going forward.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Rody. Just about does it again. I'll just go through a quick schedule coming up for those watching along at home or that may want to race. See, that is the schedule up on your screens right now with 3 rounds down, Symmons Plains, Phillip Island and Queensland all now done and dusted. 4th of June will be the next round, Barbagallo Raceway, followed by Hidden Valley on the 25th and Calder Park, which is the quote-unquote retro round for ASR in both the main series, and certainly on the broadcast side, we'll be whacking on some retro liveries for that one as well. And then we have Sydney Motorsport Park, 6th of August. 20th of August, the Adelaide Street Circuit is a catch-up round. Was meant to be round 1, but due to some AMS things, we had to actually change it for the first time in AMS Oz history. So we had to ASR AMS Oz history had to move around, and it's thankfully got plenty of time later on in the year to fit it in. Pukekohe Park Raceway on the 5th of November. That'll be a cracker. I'm sure the Kiwis will be out for blood in that one, wanting to win on home soil. And then the season finale at Townsville Roadie, which has got a history of being a bit of a bruiser. And the way the championship's going, could be a very, very interesting night, that one.
Yeah, Townsville has historically produced good racing, and it's the sort of stuff you want to end a season with. And the way this season's been going so far, granted, we are starting to whittle down to a finer group, but it's not like there is one or two people that are really driving away at the moment. And if it continues like this, we're still going to see a battle of maybe 4 or 5 guys that are at potential of winning the title coming into the last round. It's going to be a title deciding race, and that's what you want to see on a track that produces good racing.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. Consistency going to be key. But Darren Kemp leads the way at the moment. Got Dane Liccardo obviously driving the wheels off his car. But certainly going to be very, very interesting the next couple rounds. It's definitely going to shape the championship. Anyway, from myself, Lewis Wedding, and from Rody and the whole ASR crew, hope you've enjoyed tonight's broadcast of the ASR Super 2 Championship from Queensland. Catch us again later on in a few weeks' time. Till then, have a good one.